TNA is the best wrestling in the whole world.
Oh shit! It's Vince Russo!
Oh yeah, you could be king of these nuts. You know what I'm saying?
Our house, Jerry.
Straight up, G.
Somebody please explain to me how we are giving credibility to Glenn Gilbert.
This is BS! This sucks! I've lost my objectivity and I don't give a damn!
Welcome everybody to You've Got to Be Kidding Me, episode number 26. We are a TNA history podcast that covers TNA 1 month at a time. This episode we are talking about June 2004, a very notable month in TNA history, even if not a particularly good one. I'm Garrett Kidney. I'm joined as always by my co-host Liam Jones. Hello, Liam.
Hello, Garrett.
You're so out of practice you forgot my name.
Yeah. I hope everyone's prepared for the Wrestle Kingdom of You've Got to Be Kidding Me's.
Is that what this is?
In that this is going to be 5 hours long and peak once.
We do have 16 pages of notes. If you go to tnachat.com or patreon.com/kiddingme, you'll see there is 16 pages of notes.
I mean, we're all very excited, aren't we?
This is, of course, the month where iMPACT starts, so we are talking about 9 episodes of television here, Liam.
But you know what?
Mm-hmm.
You have to work for the things you love, right?
Yeah.
And what I love is the idea of 4 TVs and 1 pay-per-view. So I have to go through the pain. I have to walk over the glass shards to reach the promised land. But one day we will reach the Garden of Eden that is 4 TVs and 1 pay-per-view a month.
I do love that we've reached the iMPACT month, and they're like, oh, by the way, this is a 5 pay-per-view month too, just to make you suffer, just to needle you, just a little more. It's like, not only do you have 4 extra iMPACTs to watch, it's also a 5 pay-per-view month.
And like, you think we got things mixed up before? Wait until now.
I literally labeled the episodes in order for Liam so that he doesn't pull one of his classic, I thought I was done or I watched the wrong thing in the wrong order, which has happened multiple times.
Yep. I've only watched the thing in the wrong order like twice. And most importantly, of course, Garrett, I'm doing the thing because this is the Jeff Hardy. I'm doing the thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of big new things this month. There's iMPACT, there's the 6-sided ring, there's the iMPACT Zone, there's Jeff Hardy. But it's still a bad month, so what can you do?
I'm doing the gun hands.
I can, as this podcast being an audio medium, that does translate very well to audio. I hear the gun hands.
Modest to the top.
I love Modest. Like, there was a period where I hated Modest, and now I love Modest.
I don't think I like this version of Modest, but I like Modest that comes.
Yeah, the 2010 version is better, but I still like Modest.
Yeah, Modest is a good song. Jeff Hardy a lot of his songs are good, especially his TNA songs. And this is not the podcast for when we do the Jeff Hardy was at his best in TNA stuff yet, but we will get there.
Also, if you would like to hear the podcast about Jeff Hardy TNA theme songs, which is what I thought you were going to talk about, on this very podcast network, there's an episode of me and Andrew Rich on Music of the Mad talking about Jeff Hardy's TNA theme songs. Yeah,
and I did Halloween.
Yeah, very TNA.
I did Halloween themes. There was I'm sure there was someone from TNA on there. Suicide was on there.
There you go. I think I did have one of the Halloween episodes, and one of the themes was the Disciples of the New Church. So there you go.
Ah, there you go. Perfect. That James Mitchell sings, of course.
Definitely.
To bring back a season 1, You've Got to Be Kidding Me reference.
So it's been a month since a main episode. We did warn people, but also you got COVID, so that didn't help.
Well, I think it helped.
Helped you just not watch TNA?
Yeah, it was a good excuse not to watch the shows.
You didn't even get COVID, did you? You were like, I got COVID, so I don't want to watch TNA.
Yeah, I faked it. And then I caught it for real right after.
Karmic justice.
Yes. No, but I kicked its ass, so, it doesn't even matter.
Didn't you lose your taste of smell? Taste of smell? Yes, I've combined them into one.
I lost taste for like 1 night and smell for a day and a night.
Freak you out?
No, not really. I was kind of open for it. Just for something different,
You wanted the full COVID symptoms experience?
I was very bored. So, anything that was happening was something for me. I was getting like Vegemite on a thing of knife. A thing of knife. I was getting Vegemite on a knife and I was smelling it. I was like, ooh, I can't smell it. Isn't that fun?
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had Vegemite, so I don't even know what Vegemite smells like.
Like salt and yeast.
Ugh.
Yeah.
No wonder people hate it.
Yeah, but then you learn to love it because it's full of salt.
It's true.
So you get an acquired taste to it. And then you can't ever kick it. Now I eat reduced salt Vegemite because, as mentioned on my Twitter, I'm trying not to die by 30. So...
You hit 25, but your birthday was between recordings, so happy birthday.
Yeah. Happy.
And you finally reached the age where you're like, I must live beyond this, so I cannot be youthful anymore.
Yeah, I'm trying to cut out all fun.
Like, I don't know, I'm at the stage where you move your neck and your neck is just sore for 2 days. I'm at the stage where I was at a wedding last week and my ears were ringing for 2 hours after because of the noise.
See, the problem is that's been me since I was 15.
Oh, so you've always been old. That's nice.
Yeah, I am a mess already, so I'm trying to like fix it up a little bit, you know? I'm doing working repairs.
Imagine how bad you're going to get by 30.
Ugh, if I make it. Hence the reduced salt Vegemite.
Also, you would just have dodgy knees from the start, so you're doomed.
Ugh, yeah. My knees are doing okay. As I rub them. But, yeah, that's been plenty of fun. Anything in the wrestling news happened since we've been gone?
No, not at all. No wrestling news.
Nothing big?
We talked about Vince on Raintakers, so...
Yeah, that's for the Patreons.
Yeah, so if you would like to hear our more immediate reactions to Vince McMahon, where Liam was like, I don't want to talk about Vince, and then we still talked for 5 minutes about Vince.
Well, yeah, I was like, I'm trying not to date these episodes. I want them to be, like, everlasting content. But then, you know, the biggest news story of our wrestling lives happened, so...
Yeah, Vince is gone forever. We're all aboard the Paul Patrol. We're all politicians.
Politicians trademarked by me.
We're Paul in.
Paulin also a trademark by me.
I am going to WWE Clash at the Castle, so... Which is a shoot.
If they do another Super Showdown Under, I'll be there.
Celebrating Paul and his particular brand of professional wrestling. You'll wear skulls. We should wear skulls.
Well, he better put some damn skulls on the shows.
It's true. They're very skullless at the moment. There's that robot they roll out, the like Aor robot. They should turn that into a skull.
What?
Have you never watched the start of Raw or SmackDown? They have a robot.
No.
They have a little robot mascot dude.
They have a robot?
Yeah.
Well, knowing Paul, it'll be a Terminator by the end of his run.
It should be. That would be better.
But really looking forward, and I'm glad that you'll get to see Global Force Wrestling legend Killer Cross as he wins the WWE Universal Championship.
Yeah. If you would like to hear about the origins of Kevin Cross before he became a carrion, you can listen to our DFW episodes.
It's very fitting that before he was re-signed, he had another match with Davey Boy Smith Jr.
It is the match that convinced people and frankly tricked people into thinking he was good in the first place, and it's clearly done it again.
I mean, as you know, you are a fake Pole fan. I am obviously a real Pole fan, and I am all in on bringing. I'm Pole in on bringing in Karrion Kross because, fuck yeah, look at him. He's got cool hair and a cool jacket, and yeah, he beat up Drew McIntyre. What more do you want from people?
Get Carry On My Wayward Son as the theme. That's what Paul should do to win over us cynics, even though we're all aboard. He should start licensing music. That would be the big thing. Everyone would get on board if he does a My Way video package and gets Carry On My Wayward Son for Killer Cross.
And also if he booked good shows. That might help too.
The shows have been fine.
Yeah, fine. I watched a whole lot of fine shows. We're about to talk about them. Doesn't mean I'm fucking diving in.
I didn't watch SmackDown because I don't think I ever will watch SmackDown, but I watched Raw, and Raw was an easy watch.
This is how you can tell I'm Poland, baby. For the first time in like 4 years, I watched all the clips on the WWE YouTube channel.
Whoa!
That is the sign of me watching WWE. That is the most I will ever commit to it, is watching the clips on the YouTube channel.
So committed you should marry it.
Ooh, what?
Get married to the WWE YouTube channel.
I'm sure they will be able to support our YouTubing family.
That's true. They should signal boost our videos.
I also reserve the right to stop watching if The Fiend returns.
I don't know. I'm kind of rooting for The Fiend returning, honestly.
Yeah, you would.
Because I'm a sicko.
We already have one scary guy now, and he has hair. So,
But what if the scary guys wrestled each other?
Holy shit, maybe I am in. Now that's a Clash at the Castle I'd pay to see.
Oh no. No, if the Fiend's a Clash at the Castle, I'll be on board. You will hear one person screaming at the top of his lungs, and that will be me.
Please don't pretend that the WWE fans aren't into the Fiend.
No, they'll be all like gasping, and because the Fiend's a heel, they'll be like, boo, but then I'll be like losing my mind. It's like, woo, it's the Fiend!
No, because that's like one of the 3 times they make noise is when the music hits, so...
You make a good point. What if he just walks out? What if his music doesn't hit?
Garrett, can you please sing the Fiend's theme music right now?
Do, 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 do. I don't know the words of the Fiend's theme music.
I don't know the song.
I was going like, da, da, da. There's words
That's
there.
not it's Bray Wyatt's theme. I'm talking the Fiend's theme.
I don't even remember what the Fiend's theme is.
It's like a scary rock version of that, I thought.
Dur, dur, dur.
My mouth! What if the Fiend was in 2004 TNA?
He'd be having a match with Sonny Siaki. Like everyone else.
Yeah. He'd be wearing weird tribal tattoo stuff on his shirt like Abyss.
There's actually a whole story that they made a bunch of new gear for the wrestlers going into TV, and a lot of the wrestlers thought it was terrible, but then a lot of like old timers were saying like, shut up. And I was looking at the gear and I think, most of it's fine. It didn't notice it, except for Abyss's, which is horrible.
I like Abyss's because half the time it pops open and you see a little Abyss tummy, and that's a nice little Easter egg for people because you don't normally see a little Abyss tummy.
You know what? You're right. We do deserve a little Abyss tummy in these hard times.
As a treat.
Just a little tummy. Little Abyss tum-tum.
But outside of... I didn't notice many new gears for people, so...
AJ's probably the big one.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess. But it's just the same gear as the old gear, but red.
Yeah, and also just slightly better looking.
Did, Michael Shane have new gear? I thought I noticed that his gear was a little different, but that's about it.
Yeah. But yeah, the Abyss gear's bad.
Oh, and of course, Pat Kenny.
Oh yeah, his big bash whites.
Yeah, big pay-per-view whites, which he should be wearing every week.
Symbolizing the white in the Irish flag.
Mm-hmm.
Most people go for the green. It's the obvious thing is to go for the green. He's like, there's white in this flag too, so I'm gonna wear white.
Yeah.
Is there anything else going on with you?
I looked around my room as if to find something that was going on.
To spark some inspiration? I've changed my pillow layout.
Oh, I also changed my pillow layout.
Because I'm a man who sleeps with 3 pillows.
Uh-huh.
And previously, because I don't want to wrap them in like 3 pillowcases, so it's 2 wrapped together in a pillowcase and 1. And previously I did
what?
So you put 2 pillows in 1 pillowcase and then 1 pillow in another pillowcase. Instead of having them in 3 different pillowcases, because you want a bit of firmness.
I have 4 pillows and each of them are in individual cases.
Bougie household over here.
And they're all new.
Previously, I would do the 2 on top, and I've since switched the 2 to the bottom, and I think it's improved.
I would guess that would be improved. Now that I had 3. I'm on 4 now, 2 firm, 2 medium, and I formed them into like a V shape, where I put the two firm like in a V, and then I have 1 at the end under my head, and then like I can cuddle the other one or put it under my arm or like under my leg or something.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's like I'm in like a throne of pillow.
Well, you know what? Good for you.
I'm feeling a lot of judgment coming at my pillow setup right now, and I'm just saying, come from the guy who puts 2 in 1 pillowcase.
Yeah. It makes it
which is ridiculous.
Easier to cuddle, I'll have you know, when there's 2 of them in 1 pillowcase.
I don't know. I don't have a problem.
So if you want to hit somebody with the pillow, it has an extra little heft to it.
When you're in that life or death pillow situation.
Yeah, when someone starts breaking into your house and you swing your 2 pillows at them, 1 pillow, they'd be like, I can overcome this. But when 2 pillows are there swinging at them, it's like, oh no, how could I have anticipated this?
Yeah, now I'm knocked out.
And then I will call the police. And then he'll sue me for excessive violence, and he'll actually take all my money that way.
It's a cold world. Better bundle up.
For my entire life, I've been a sicko who sleeps with my socks on.
Uh-huh.
And I've literally, finally, at the age of 30, switched to being a non-sock wearing sleep person.
That depends on temperature. If it's really cold, I'm putting socks on because my little footsies are cold. But if it's regular, of course, socks are off.
I think it's because my current pair of socks are quite thick.
Why do you have one pair of socks?
Well, no, it's a packet of socks, which are all the same kind of sock.
This is interesting. How many pairs of socks do you have?
I don't buy single individual pairs of socks that are different.
How many pairs of socks do you have?
At the moment, I rotate between like 3 or 4.
What? This is ridiculous. I have like 15.
But they're all like the same pack. I did like a real big sock clean out recently, because there's a ton of them that are just like worn down. And I'm like, why am I still wearing these? They're not good socks anymore.
Yeah, I did the same thing. But also, I still have like 15 pairs of socks. I also have fun socks. I'm a fun sock guy.
I wear plain white socks.
This is a stupid conversation. I've only recently adopted white socks. I was a navy socks guy because I went to a private school that forced us to wear navy socks. And it didn't ever like click in my head that that wasn't like normal everyday sock color until like 5 years ago.
You finally had that moment of independence where you can be like, I can wear whatever sock I want.
It wasn't even that. It was like, oh, this isn't the normal ones. In my head, white socks are when you did sport and you wore navy socks for every other occasion. But then I found out, no, it's white socks for everything, and then formal wear is navy.
Yes.
Well, that was a big moment for me. And now I have socks with little bananas on them, watermelons, cactus, other stuff.
So, as if this episode, with their 16 pages of notes, wasn't going to be long enough, we're like, let's do sock talk.
Sock talk. Coming soon to the Patreon, sock talk.
Some people who are like Bob Odenkirk would be very into sock talk, I think.
Sock talk.
Sock talk.
Sock talk.
To play on TikTok.
Yeah. Or just general rhyming.
True.
TikTok, just like Karrion Kross when he's going to win the Universal title at Clash of the fucking Castle.
Carry on my wayward.
Still devastated that the Elite didn't get that as their theme music.
So, before we get into the actual TNA Evolved, reminder, patreon.com/kiddingme if you would like all of our Patreon content, or tnachat.com, of course. We have a watch-along of the first show of the month with the debut of King of the Mountain. We have a watch-along of the first episode of Impact up, which is up there for free. So if you would like to test the watch-alongs, test the Patreon content, that watch-along of Impact episode number 1 is there free. We posted it like a couple of weeks ago as a make good for Liam getting COVID. And...
It's a weird thing that I have to make good for.
Yeah, you have to make it up for our audience that you're ill.
From the most infectious thing that's ever plagued humanity.
Well, maybe not ever plagued humanity, but recently, yes, sure.
Oh yeah, can you name any other thing that's plagued humanity to this extent?
This podcast, some would say, oh.
Oh. Or, the other plagues.
You can listen to our most recent episode of Rain Takers, which is covering Kazuna Road with a great Tanahashi against Tanaka main event for the IWGP heavyweight title. Also, our next episode of Rain Takers will be covering the G1 on the 12th, so that'll be coming up pretty soon too. Also, our GFW series is halfway done. We've covered 2 episodes of GFW. We'll be covering the next 2 over the next couple of hours, the next month or so.
Next couple hours. We're going to do it right after this. We're going to watch both.
So that's all at tnachat.com, patreon.com/kiddingme if you would like to support us a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And you get something in exchange. It's not just throwing money at us. You get the beloved content that you love.
And if you do want to just throw money at us, you can also donate to the podcast.
Which I think is voiceswrestling.com/donate.
Yes.
Which I don't plug, but I'm like, just why would you donate money when you could just subscribe to Patreon and get something for it?
But have you thought about this, Garrett?
Mm-hmm.
If some rich benefactor out there who loves the show, right? They see it, they're like, wow, I love the show, guys. I would love it if you guys just had like $1,000 microphone setups and 4K webcams and made this show video. They could donate like $5,000 in one go.
All right, if you were exceptionally wealthy, and only if you're exceptionally wealthy.
Yeah. If you're like us, don't do it. But if you have a lot of money, drop it on us.
Throw $5,000 our way.
Hey guys, I solemnly swear, if you donate $5,000 to this podcast, we will watch any show you want us to watch. We'll watch it with you if you give us $5,000.
We'll fly to your house and sit there.
No, that would take up most of the $5,000. And here's another deal for you. You donate $50,000. You can pay for us all to go to Japan and we can watch Wrestle Kingdom live in person.
Wait, so if they give us $50,000, they also then have to pay for us to go to Japan, so it's like more on top of the 50,000.
But then they'll be like our sponsor. I solemnly swear to everyone involved.
We will laugh at your jokes and stuff.
I mean, Garrett will, because he's nice. I'll probably try to marry you if you have $50,000 to throw away for that.
And specifically to throw away toward you.
No, then I know that I will be taken care of.
So the big story, the main story from the month of June, the biggin, it is the debut of TNA Impact.
What a show. And a show that still runs to this very day.
Yeah, we're 900 episodes and 18 years in, and this show's still going. So it is, like, I don't know, it's not to say it's one of the most important moments in wrestling history, but it is one of the longest running pro wrestling television shows that is still running today. And here it is, the moment of Genesis.
Aha. That's not this show, though. We'll get to that eventually. Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for Impact, A, because it's like 40 minutes long, so that's really good, and B, it looks nice and looks like a top professional wrestling show.
Yeah, so they've moved to the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida. They have introduced the six-sided ring, which will be their ring going forward.
Oh, thank God.
Does it make a difference to you watching a six-sided ring?
It makes such a difference to watching this show. It's just something about the general aesthetic of it. Like, before it kind of felt like I was watching this weird shindy with, like, random money put into it. Now it feels like I'm watching TNA.
Yeah, so they have the Fox box at the top of the screen. Every match has a 10-minute time limit, except for title matches, which have a 30-minute time limit. If they go to a time limit draw, it will be decided by the week's celebrity judge, which is, frankly, usually Dusty Rhodes.
Or Larry Zbyszko.
It's Dusty or Larry Z. They did, like, the Impact Zone itself does look major league. It looks professional. They have a bit of pyro. They have the green lasers. They have the dual entrance tunnels on either side of the building.
They have the mist shooting up from the ramp.
Yeah, the crowd's super enthusiastic. It is, like, they've done little things to improve the Asylum a little bit this month. I think they, like, got new lights and cameras. It does look a little bit better. But just the contrast of going from the Impact Zone, which does look major league and professional, to the Asylum, which still looks a little dingy and downtrodden, is, like, every time I go from an Impact to a pay-per-view, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, but, and then the problem is, and the problem for me watching these shows is, it feels, Impact looks so much better, but it feels like a B show. Like, you're watching it, and it feels like the equivalent of what I imagine would have been watching Explosion. You know what I mean? Like, I watch it and it doesn't feel like anything actually takes place or matters, and none of the stars are on this show. And then the pay-per-view happens, and that's where everything actually takes place.
Yeah, because they have themselves a little bit of a pickle for this period where they're doing both. Because they can't really do the good stuff on TV, and you can argue they're not doing good stuff on pay-per-view either, but that's a different point altogether.
But at least they have stars on those shows.
Yeah, but the idea is the TV is there to sell the pay-per-view, which I think at this stage is probably a mistake on the whole, especially doing that on a week-to-week basis, because at least on a monthly pay-per-view cycle, you can give some stuff to TV that you're not going to do on pay-per-view, whereas on a weekly pay-per-view where you know you have to fill 2 hours every Wednesday, you gotta save some stuff for that, and what ultimately ends up happening is you get a bunch of, like, meaningless squash matches and throwaway X Division matches on TV, and it doesn't also help that they really have no stars.
Well, that's the thing, is like, it feels like something that would help sell these pay-per-views is if you had prominent, well-known guys like a Raven, like a Jeff Jarrett, like anyone, put them on this show, you know? It would do something for the pay-per-views, but those guys don't even show up. There's like one Sabu tag.
Yeah, and like Jarrett's usually on the show in some capacity, but I don't think Raven has been on Impact at all yet. And part of that we'll talk about, he has been injured this month. He got injured early in the month, then re-injured himself in that Sanjay match. So, like, he hasn't been healthy, but he still hasn't, like, appeared in many angles or anything on Impact. So, like, Raven is probably your number 1 or number 2 star, depending how you view him relative to Jeff Jarrett, particularly during this era.
Or how you view him relevant to Jeff Hardy.
Well, yeah, Jeff is obviously number 1 star, big guy, once he debuts toward the end of the month, but he's not there for the start of the month.
But, like, even something like, I get, like, you know, Jeff is a one that you give away on pay-per-view, but I don't know, I feel like having Jeff Hardy on your TV might do something for you.
They will. They haven't signed Jeff yet, so...
I know, but you had him.
But they wanted to debut on pay-per-view, and we'll talk about Jeff.
With no build.
There's a reason for that.
Ah, good times.
It might be the classic, they weren't entirely 100% sure he'd actually show up, so they did it on no build.
That's fair. Well, we say no build, but there was 4 vignettes the night of.
People calling around. It's like, you see these vignettes that are narrated by Jeff Hardy, obviously, for Jeff Hardy, and obviously made by Jeff Hardy if you freaking watch him. That's the most Jeff Hardy, like, esoteric stuff imaginable.
Well, it's his voice.
Yes.
But, like, it's like that one episode where RVD debuted, and they just mentioned something about it before the ad break. So that everyone would be like, huh?
Except this is a $10 price tag where everyone's like, huh? Everyone's like, huh? $10.
Do you think they sold any pay-per-views mid-pay-per-view on the premise of people going, wait, is that Jeff Hardy?
Like, if you were to say, did they sell one? Probably.
Yeah.
Probably sold one.
From Matt.
Yeah. Especially when you realize it was going to be Hardy against AJ, which I think is a match people would want to see.
Yes. Which is a match I was excited to see.
You know, it's very funny. There's a lot of, like, PW Torch are like, how could you give Jeff Hardy 7 minutes with AJ? It's like, what a burial of AJ that this WWE mid-carder comes in and gets 7 minutes. I was like, one, even in 2004, that I think that's off base. But when you look at, like, who Jeff Hardy is and who he became, that's such a stupid complaint.
Well, it's funny because, like, knowing, obviously I wasn't there in 2004, but watching it now, I was like, hey, it's cool. It's like 2 of the aces in company history wrestling each other.
Especially when you look at the reaction Hardy gets, which is fucking enormous.
Yeah, the Asylum made noise.
I do think the Asylum is better this month, and I think it's mostly because...
Oh, do you want to talk about D'Lo versus fucking Monty Brown?
I do think they're gotten to about the idea that they might lose the shows to Orlando, so they're trying again.
Oh, it's like, when they started putting takeovers in buildings.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Full Sail. I was like, no, we will make noise again, we swear.
Please give us the Iron Man match, please.
So yeah, they debuted Impact. It is on the premiere start time of 3 p.m. in the afternoon on Fridays. Not ideal, but better than nothing. Before we go into the notes about the show, let's talk about the episode itself, the debut episode, which I thought, like, say what you will about the episodes that came after and the degree to which it very quickly became a show with enhancement matches that pushes the pay-per-view. I thought that first episode rocked.
I thought that first episode was kind of like if you put the entire first year of TNA's ethos into one episode. Like, if they had fine-tuned their ideas that they presented in early NWA-TNA pay-per-views, this is kind of what it would have been.
Yeah.
Because you had the focus on the X Division multi-man, you had the tag team title match with America's Most Wanted, you had a cool squash with Abyss and then Shark Boy getting an appearance in the show, and most importantly, you had AJ going over in an X Division multi-man to become the champion. Well, become number one contender. But it was like kind of some easy early parallels to the first like year of NWA-TNA. It's kind of like they saw that and they're like, well, what do people like from our early presentation? Let's do that again for our first TV.
Yeah, and it's like a very firm reboot where it's like, all right, we're on TV now. Everything, we're kind of starting from scratch. So we're going to put the belt on Jarrett. Ugh. We're going to put the X Division title back on AJ, and we're going to put the tag titles on AMW. So in theory, they're like, we're going to put the belts on, like, historically the best acts in each of the divisions and run with it that way.
Which makes sense. Something I did enjoy about this month, and I guess because I don't want to leave this to the end when we're like depressed and tired about talking, so I'll do it now at the start. I thought this month had a lot of good build that had too much space to fill. If this was a 4 TV to a pay-per-view month and they did all the same kind of build, I think that would have led up to one really good pay-per-view. Because I thought you had a lot of cool stories going in there. Ironically, the one that I was least high on was probably the Jarrett and Ron Killing stuff. But I really enjoyed the tag title stuff with the Naturals. I really enjoyed the build to Cash and AJ. I enjoyed the Abyss Eric Watts stuff. I even enjoyed, like, if the Pat Kenny tag stuff was just a mid-card thing leading to a pay-per-view, that would have been a fine thing too.
Jarrett Lynn Scott D'Amore as well.
Yeah, Jarrett Lynn Scott D'Amore would have been a good payoff for the pay-per-view. there was a bunch of stuff that I was like, all right, I'm into this as, like, and then Sabu Raven, right? So there's a lot of stuff that I thought, if this was a condensed thing with not having to feel like 12 hours, this would have been a really good month. But because we're doing pay-per-view every week and a TV every week, they had so much time to feel that everything just got bloated and blown out of proportion, and they had to have the payoffs off on different times because they had to start and get onto the next thing because they had to fill all this time. So going into it, I was like, I actually think the booking-wise, there was a lot of really good stuff this month. It's just the way they're choosing to produce their television and produce their content in general isn't conducive to telling good stories.
They're just stretching themselves, the wrestlers, the stories, and pretty much everything too thin over on average 4 pay-per-views and 4 impacts a month, as opposed to using the impacts to promote the pay-per-views to have payoffs to go back to the impacts. It's just doing that on a week-to-week cycle. It just doesn't work, does it?
Because you're watching these shows and you're like, there is a good pro wrestling company in here. It's just bloated out.
So yes, Impact Episode 1, June 4th, 2004, taped the day before from the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida. 850 people there, total sellout, turn-away crowd. Fair enough, it's free, everyone's getting in for free. But still, very enthusiastic audience, felt like a hot promotion.
Yeah, and boy did these guys love themselves some X Division multi-man madness.
Which is what most of the show was, so you know what, they read that crowd properly.
So yeah, going into this month, one thing, and I think it's smart that they kind of saved him mostly for the Impact Zone. There was some of the pay-per-views, but Hector Garza feels like a guy.
Yeah, and they know he feels like a guy, and he's reached a deal where he'll be in most Wednesdays and Thursdays and then work AAA on the weekends. But they do know very much what they have in Hector Garza, and we'll talk about why it doesn't work out for various reasons. But it is not for lack of trying here. Because, it's weird. The opening match, you would think, put Jarrett there, put Styles there, put Raven there. Raven's not even on the first episode, which is apparently a point of contention for Raven, that he wasn't best pleased that he wasn't on the first episode.
I don't think he's on any of the episodes of TV.
Yeah, because he gets injured early, and I think he gets injured in the dark match on the next episode of Impact. And again, he works that Sanjay match where he aggravates the injury and then is gone for most of the rest of the month, and I think a little while longer. I think he's out for 4 to 6 weeks.
Then the thing with Raven is, though, you just have him talk. Just like one of these Sabu segments that you did on TV, just throw them on this one, I think it'd be fine.
But yeah, it's interesting. They open with Hector Garza, Amazing Red, and Sanjay Dutt versus P. Williams, Eric Young, and Bobby Roode. So they're opening the show with 6 guys who, for the most part, Hector Garza did work WCW, but who for the most part have very little experience to the audience. It's not opening with the WWE guys. It is very much a statement of intent that we're putting 6 of our guys out here first. We're going to give them some time. They're going to tear the house down. They're going to have a real darn good 6-man tag.
Well, you look at this whole card and there's not really any WWE guys on it.
Yeah, you get nobody really. Well, there's Dusty and there's Jarrett in a promo and Truth. That's about it. In terms of the actual matches, it's all their homegrown talent.
Yeah, so I think it is a very good first step in. I am, and also just coming out of this personally after watching him for the last 6 months, I am so ready for a Hector Garza AJ Styles match, and if that match doesn't happen, I will be so depressed.
You'll have to see.
Ooh. But I thought this was a really good first impression for Impact, and having a crowd that actually cares helps too.
Yeah, I find that a lot for the TV. 1, the crowd is more interested, and 2, because the matches have like a 10-minute time limit.
It's so good.
And I think because the wrestlers know they're wrestling in front of a larger audience, both more enthusiastic in Orlando and obviously a larger television audience. We'll talk about the numbers in a little bit. But because of that, I do think the wrestlers have a lot more urgency on Impact than they do on the pay-per-views.
Oh, it also feels like, the pay-per-views are where all the big story beats happen, but this is where the better wrestling happens. And I think a part of that it's, the TV does feel more important, even though it's not treated to the same extent. By people's performances and aesthetically, and just watching as a viewer, the TV looks and feels better.
The wrestlers just seem more interested working the TV than they do working the pay-per-views.
They're also probably more excited to be working in Florida.
Anti-Nashville sentiment.
Well, and also they've been in Nashville for 2 years now, just a new environment that's probably a big change of not change of pace, but a change of scenery probably just helps them feel more revitalized.
And it's the first time, well, maybe not the first time, because the people who worked the very first TNA shows probably felt bigly, both the first ones in Nashville that were in the Municipal Auditorium and the first ones in Huntsville. But it's the first time in about 2 years that they probably go to work and it's like, oh, they see the big proper television studio with the lights and the pyro. It's like, oh, this actually feels like a major league television presentation as opposed to the Asylum, which is like, they can make it look relatively professional, but it's far from major league.
Well, the big thing is, it feels like they've gone from indie to that next level above. Because there was some of those Asylum shows looked so indie. And not even like indie in like the cool way. Like in the, this is like your local indie. But now it feels big and important, and there's production behind it, and there's a crowd that's going off for it. Like a crowd that's got signs and is into it, you know? That isn't just tnachad.com.
Doing the first, I think, This Is Awesome chance in company history.
Yeah, it was good all around. Everyone seemed to be having a lot more fun with the studio tapings.
Yeah, so Hector Garza pinned Bobby Roode here with the tornado.
Yeah, a fun little match here. I thought Team Canada would go over because they're such a pushed act at this point, but obviously they feel like they have something with Garza because they kind of do. Everyone's really into Garza.
Yeah, and they put Red here, even though he's not pushed whatsoever.
Yeah, I got some things about Red, but I'll save it till the last show.
Red does have a dodgy month. Abyss defeated Shark Boy squash match, Black Hole Slam, then Popeye after the match consoled Shark Boy for his loss.
I desperately want, they showed us a bit on some of the later episodes, but I desperately want more Popeye and Shark Boy hanging out at Universal Studios.
Yeah, they're wandering around, they're going down slides, they're having a good time at Universal Studios.
You know Shark Boy's like, I got a sweet gig with this right now.
You know, AEW should do this with Dark. They should have like Luther and Serpentico going around with whoever the current Universal Studios mascot is.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
AMW defeated Kid Cash and Dallas to become the NWA World Tag Team Champions for the 4th time.
Yeah, it's good to have the tag team titles and the best act in the company.
Yeah, putting them out front and center, doing a title change on the first episode to make it feel important, and, you know, going back to all of your kind of like 1A acts instead of some of the maybe like, actually there was nothing wrong with Cash and Dallas as tag champs. They're a good team and good wrestlers.
I've enjoyed Cash and Dallas together, but you know, I like having AMW as the tag team champions. I'm not gonna lie.
It just feels right, doesn't it?
Well, also they better than anyone else. AMW can make matches that you weren't excited for on the mid card of shows exciting. Particularly
perhaps against Monty Brown and Abyss. We'll talk about that in a minute. Mike Tenay introduced Dusty. They did, like, they went back to another classic TNA well, talking about tradition.
Tradition. And later on they introduced someone who's offended at how New York's been treated, so...
All of the classic TNA stories.
Just no women in cages yet.
So yeah, Dusty's talking about tradition. And Jarrett comes out, calls Dusty old and washed up. He just says he's going to take 5 paces and Dusty better be gone. Dusty was not gone. Slapped him with his hat, started punching him. Jarrett makes a comeback, grabs a guitar. Truth makes the save, but Truth's a giant dork, so he gets hit with the guitar instead of Dusty before Trill K makes the actual save.
So, we aren't at the peak, but we are firmly in Jeff Jarrett chair shot wee whoop time. Like, this is what, when people think of Jeff Jarrett, this is what they think of.
Yeah.
And they managed to kind of toe the line early on and not be this, but now we are firmly in it. I think there will be a time where it gets to almost the point of parody, but right now it's just earnest, which I don't know if that makes it worse or better, but we haven't gone to, we get the joke. This is just them doing it, and it's like over the top. Although there's a great payoff to it in the Truth match.
Yeah, and it's the guitar is the story of the month, but we'll talk about that when we're doing broad topics. But yeah, it's particularly egregious here, I think, because, you know, Jarrett goes to hit Dusty, Truth makes the save, and that's the end of your segment, you know?
Yeah.
You're literally doing it just so Jarrett can have the last laugh and Truth will look like a nerd on your television debut.
And we're hitting the second feud now. Maybe we should keep a tally as we go on. But this is the second Jarrett title feud where it feels like the only payoff worth having is him losing the title. but that isn't what happens.
Not for a very long time.
So we've had a first victim of not winning the title when they need to, Chris Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Second victim, Ron Killings. I'm sure we will see how this list progresses as we continue on.
They did a feature on the X Division. Then we have the new backstage interviewer, Shane Douglas. We'll talk about that in a sec. He wants to know who the fourth man in the main event is. He's asking Vince Russo. It's an X Division number one contenders match. We know Chris Sabin, Neil Skipper, and Michael Shane are three of the four. Turns out the fourth man returning to the X Division is the phenomenal AJ Styles.
Yeah, and I mean, listen. Am I happy that AJ Styles isn't like the NWA champion? No. But when he was sucked up in Vince Russo, Jeff Jarrett bullshit, so maybe just having him as the face of the X Division is just is better for him.
I know the TNA at the time would make the argument that the X Division is not lesser than its equal, which at this stage isn't true. I think AJ makes it true because he's fucking better than everybody else in the company. So by the time we reach 2005, I think AJ single-handedly makes that true, and maybe even the X Division is greater than rather than lesser than. So like here it is very clear, shunted down to the X Division, not across. But also, I think you're right that he's just better off here, where you can have good matches with good wrestlers and not have to deal with the endless slew of bullshit that comes with guitar shots and hidden guitars and multiple authority figures and all the nonsense that comes with Jeff Jarrett, comes with Vince Russo, comes with the main event scene. He can just be AJ. And I think this month more than any month, he is AJ. Like, he is the AJ of TNA that you know. Like, the TNA ace AJ Styles. He feels like that this month.
And, like, you just look at it. Would you rather be AJ Styles this month or Ron Killings this month?
That's a very easy answer.
So, there you go. Which position is it better to be in?
Yeah, so Styles pins Shane with the Styles Clash. Kazarian comes down, stare down AJ because they'll face for the title on the next pay-per-view. That's the first episode of Impact. As I said, I thought this was a really good statement of intent. I was going to say it's a good representation of what TNA is. I think it's almost a misrepresentation of what TNA is.
It's a representation of what TNA could be and what a lot of people maybe wanted TNA to be and what TNA complains that their fans don't perceive TNA to be.
It's like, hey, you did it for a night. How about you do it every night?
Which I think, I mean, that's every company, right? That's every company, especially in American pro wrestling, ever. It's like, when they hit it, you're like, why can't you hit it all the time?
Because you had like guys like Garza, guys like Abyss, guys like AMW, guys like AJ being the featured acts as well as Jarrett. And it felt hot. It felt high energy. It was a really fast hour of wrestling. It was, I think, as perfect of a debut episode as they could have asked for.
Like I said, it's a good representation for a lot of people who may have seen them for the first time. I wonder how many pay-per-views this sold, though.
Yeah, I would say not very many, and I think ultimately the answer is not very many.
Yeah. I don't know if I saw this, I was like, oh man, I have to tune in the pay-per-view just to see what happened with 3LK and Jeff Jarrett.
I'm sure, like, the first few got a curiosity bump. And especially because, like, the anniversary show was at least, like, a very hard-pushed show, which is, the third or fourth show of the month. So I'm sure a couple of those got a little bit of a boost. And, like, the Asylum attendances went up, and the Asylum energy went up a little bit. But I think by the time you get to July, people are just happy watching their Impact and happy avoiding the weekly pay-per-views.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think the anniversary pay-per-view did feel big. I don't think it necessarily hit everything out of the park, but I was watching it and I was like, this does feel like a big, important show.
So a bunch of notes about Impact itself. In a few markets, their regional sports channel preempts TNA Impact for other programming, but the vast majority see the show at the standard Friday 3 p.m. time slot. I think it's New York and Philly are a couple of those markets where it's preempted and they're aired at real weird times. So it is strong wrestling markets where it's being preempted, but nonetheless they still have clearance across the majority of the FSN networks. Because if you remember, FSN is not like one. Well, it does have a national feed, but it's not generally one channel. It's a collection of regional sports networks that have some national programming, but the big attraction is the local sports. And for the most part, they got clearance across all of those regional sports networks. There, 3 in the afternoon on Fridays.
It's kind of what you saw with Ring of Honor and Sinclair's networks.
Yeah, if you were trying to look at the time Ring of Honor aired at, it was all over the place.
Which was also impossible to track down. And like, even like, because they used to upload like their shows the week after on their website, but because of the nature of how it aired, sometimes it just wouldn't be on there for like 2 days extra. And you're like, what is going on?
You really wanted to see the Ring of Honor Pure tournament, and they were keeping it away from you.
No, this was before that. This was like, I really wanted to see the Briscoes take on the Headbangers or some shit.
The first show received rave reviews for its state-of-the-art presentation and production values. The decision to begin and end the show with exhibition matches was not without its second-guessers, but ultimately Jeff Jarrett and Josh Mantell decided the best way to combat WWE and grab attention of channel flippers was to fight WWE on a different level, one in which they can't compete or won't compete, and that being contemporary athleticism and high spots.
That's a reasonable and balanced take on how to present your show in comparison to the biggest show in the world.
Yeah, so instead of sending Raven out there immediately, instead of doing the Dusty and Jarrett segment to open the show, they're like, nope, we're going to go high energy, wrestlers you've not seen before. This is TNA.
But, you know, you can sprinkle some Raven in there, I feel. I don't think you need to cut him out completely.
Well, like, Jarrett makes the case that they need a clean slate heel champion for the start of television. If you listen to his podcast, they talk about this, that he's like, you know, television is something new. It's a new audience. We need to start from scratch. And the easiest way to do that is heel champion, babyface chase. Which is not a completely illegitimate argument. But then the question would be, well, why did it have to be you, Jeff? Why did you have to be the heel champion? Why couldn't it be Raven?
Why couldn't it be heel Raven doing this with anyone else?
Because if I'm honest, if I were to just, like, see that argument, I think I would go, let's go with Raven. Like, he has the name from WCW and WWE. It'll be his first title run. It'll feel fresh. He's been doing good stuff for the most part up and down our card for a year and a half now. Let's pull the trigger on Raven going into TV and have, like, AJ and Harris chase him. But, like, Jarrett's like, no, I'm going to pull the trigger on me again for the third time. I'm going to have Truth chase me and kick AJ and Harris off to the secondary divisions. It feels a lot like a man who wants to make a television show all about himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's bits and pieces here to it. Like, I see some points, I see things that feel like giant mistakes, but like, what are you going to do at this point, you know? Let's just see where it goes.
You're going to be saying that for a year, buddy.
Yeah. But when he loses, it's going to be such a good moment. Right, Garrett?
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yep, definitely.
It's gonna be worth it, right?
100%. And the guy who beats him is going to have a really long reign. Really long. Super long reign. Bob Carter, the head of Pound Energy, was present at the Universal Studios tapings and appeared to be pleased with the experience.
Me too, Bob.
Vince McMahon said in an interview on TSN in Canada that he doesn't consider TNA competition because they're wrestling, we're entertainment.
Yeah, well, Vince, how about Paul saying this week or whatever that we're wrestling now? How do you feel about that, Vince?
Yeah, it only took 18 years, but we finally proved the TNA won this war. And wrestling wins.
They brought wrestling back. Well, I mean, NXT was basically a TNA parody company.
TNA saved professional wrestling is what I'm saying, Liam.
And put it on a shirt.
Well, they were thinking about that. Like, there are people internally who want to use that they're wrestling, or we're wrestling their entertainment, or whatever Vince said. The like direct quote from Vince, like, as the marketing slogan, which they probably should have.
I was gonna say, that's not bad. And then they're wrestling, we're entertainment. Dash Vince McMahon.
There were 3 matches that took place at the debut Impact tapings at Universal Studios on June 3rd that did not air the next day. The opening match, Sonny Siaki and Irish Pat Kenny, and Desire beat Trinity, Glenn Gilberti, Johnny Swinger. Heavy Metal beat Frankie Kazarian, and then there was a big gauntlet that Ron Killings won, eliminating Monty Brown in the end.
I'm glad that those weren't the matches they chose.
Yeah, so they flew a bunch of people down there just to wrestle random matches. I don't think they've ever released any of those matches. I assume they taped them.
Have to track them down.
Holy Grails!
Coming soon to the Patreon.
Yo, this Ron Killings gauntlet match, we need to see it.
Pat Kenny versus Sonny Siaki or whatever.
Heavy Metal against Frankie Kazarian? Whoa!
Well, that I do want to see. Desire and Trinity before they do the worst match I've ever seen?
Before the show began, Jimmy Hart and Johnny Fairplay welcomed the fans. They didn't put Fairplay on TV, which is a point of contention for Fairplay that we'll talk about in a sec as well. But yeah, Jimmy Hart has a bigger backstage role with TNA these days. He's like the point guy for Universal Studios, and he's working backstage.
Okay. Okay, Jimmy.
And obviously waiting to get Hulk Hogan back in.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan's coming in any day now.
Jeff Jarrett was on a local Orlando radio station called Monsters in the Morning on Thursday to promote the debut of Impact that night. He got into an argument with the host as an angle to get people talking, to get them down to the Impact Zone.
Cool.
TNA management was extremely pleased.
Jeff Jarrett loves doing local radio.
He loves doing local radio angles as well. He can never just go on the show. He always has to do a bit.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's a heel, you know. They're not sending AJ up there to do it, are they?
Because in like the build to the Hogan thing, remember when they did the Jimmy Hart angle where he stormed the radio station?
That was a good angle, though, to be fair.
Yeah, they should have recorded this one too.
That was in his Stone Cold days.
He's still in his Stone Cold days.
No, he's not. This is wee whoop guitar shot. Jeff Jarrett.
TNA management was extremely pleased with the Thursday night tapings in Orlando even before they began post-production work. Part of the reason is that the crowd couldn't have been better. They were enthusiastic, many of them knew TNA's top wrestlers, and it was mostly teenage and 20-something guys, giving the crowd a more hip feel than the Nashville Fairgrounds where the pay-per-views take place.
The key demo.
Young men. Jerry Moore even remarked to the crowd that they were better looking than the Nashville crowd, and he'll take some heat for that.
Well, it's fine. None of the Nashville crowd know how to work the computer anyway. I'm the Jeremy Borash of this podcast. I love the Florida crowd.
Bunch of hideous uggos over there in the Asylum. Look at you pretty people here in the Impact Zone.
Thank God we're getting out of that schlop.
In a press release announcing the use of the six-sided ring for the Fox Sports Net show, Jeff Jarrett said, "The six-sided ring brings professional wrestling into the 21st century. Wrestling, like any sport, must evolve through time, and total non-stop action wrestling's continued innovation is an example of that. Our athletes will now have more angles, moves, and space to showcase themselves, and TNA wrestling as the new wrestling alternative."
That's me trying to talk to Scott in 2022 about bringing back the six-sided ring.
They do constantly talk, like anytime somebody does a dive, Mike Tenay is always like, that's because of the six-sided ring. It's like, there's more angles, there's more sides, there's more stuff they can do.
But to be fair, I get that. Like, for a lot of people, this is the first time they're seeing a six-sided ring. Why not, like, push it as like, wow, look how cool and interesting and different this is. We're wrestling, they're entertainment.
Oh, that should be their slogan.
Yeah.
I find this one interesting because I think like 10 years later the flip side becomes the case, but TNA wrestlers are excited that due to tourists at Universal Studios every week, many fans each week in the arena will not be weekly regulars. In the Asylum in Nashville, the regulars tend to get burned out on certain characters and somewhat jaded, so a fresh mix of fans each week, TNA wrestlers and management feel, would help keep fan reaction remain at a higher level.
I think good shows keep the fan reaction at a high level.
They keep doing this, don't they? It's like there's some magic reason that the crowd aren't responding other than the shows are good or bad.
Yeah, that's every cop-out from every promoter ever.
Because the exact same, like the exact opposite thing begins to happen like in Orlando. It's like, oh, it's only a bunch of tourists who don't care, so they're not making noise. Even though you watch this episode of Impact and you see them absolutely lose their shit at freaking every single dive. So Sanjay does do a Dragon Rana in that first match. That is worth losing your shit at.
There's a lot of stuff worth losing your shit at on that first show.
Yeah, just produce good television and people will react to it. Stop making excuses for your crowd not giving a shit about your shitty, boring television.
Mm-hmm.
Fans had begun to line up for the debut of Impact at 2 p.m. in the afternoon and waited in line for 5 hours in 100-degree high humidity weather.
Well, let me just do a little bit of math to see if I'm impressed by this. I mean, that's warm. Yeah, I wouldn't like doing it in a humid 37. Oh, like if it was a sunny 37, grow up. That's a great day.
Let it be known, 37 degrees is warmer than it has ever been in Ireland. Ever.
Trust me, we were discussing this heat wave that you're going through lately.
Which was like 2 days where it broke 30 and then back down to like below 20. And we're like, no, we can't handle it. It's too much for us.
I do hate to be like the I come from hot place, ha 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 thing, but literally have had 50-degree days where my car has started melting to the road.
Yeah, but have you considered that it's 30 degrees here and it's very hot?
Sounds like a wonderful day. As long as it's not humid. Humid in 30s sucks. That I will admit.
It's like the highest temperature in the history of Ireland is 33. So there you go. And that was in like 1890. So
50.8
is the highest recorded temperature in Australia.
in Mildura. I think it's been higher since then. I think we hit above that, but yeah, just awful. 50.7. I wonder what Melbourne is, because I'm pretty sure we held it for a while.
You were like the death pit of Australia.
Well, just Victoria. Melbourne's highest is 47.
Ugh, that's nothing compared to your 50.8.
A paltry 47 in February of 2009. But like, which is funny because like that's just like one section. Like you go to like, you know, the 60% of our country that is desert that we never talk about.
Where there aren't people, the weather doesn't count.
Yeah, basically. I mean, how are we supposed to know?
There's no one. Only the kangaroos know how hot it's out there.
And the camels.
There is concern among the wrestlers as to whether Impact viewers will accept the low-budget qualities of the pay-per-view events held in Nashville. They have to get out of Nashville now, said one wrestler. Others say that while the production downgrades will disappoint some viewers, they expect most fans to be satisfied as long as the matches and storylines are strong.
Well, then, yeah, well, the fans are going to be satisfied. That's some really optimistic thinking.
There has been some talk since the show that company officials were considering the idea of moving the pay-per-views to Orlando as well. However, an informed source reports that the first planning to upgrade the set, lighting, and production in Nashville and keep the Wednesday shows there.
Please, God, just cancel the shows. I'm begging you. Jeff, I'm going back to the future to tell you, please just stop the shows.
Just immediately switch to the monthly pay-per-view model. You'll be much better off.
What if we just skip the next, 2 months?
Nope.
Well, it was worth a shot, guys. I tried my best.
The word being spread out of the TNA office is that FX officials were blown away by the Impact debut and have expressed interest in bringing the show to primetime on their cable network. Of course, both FX and Fox Sports are owned by Fox, so if FX is serious enough, they should be able to work something out quickly.
Hell yeah, I want to do my Walking Dead x TNA crossovers.
Two things that kept going long past the point they should have.
I think Walking Dead is still going.
God, and there's 3 spin-offs. How have they not given up on The Walking Dead yet?
Well, they're doing a new one that brings back all the characters people liked, so I think that one's going to do well.
Oh, that's nice.
They're like, hey, what if all the characters that made this show popular were back? Everyone's like, wait a minute.
That's revolutionary thinking.
I should finish that show eventually, just out of a point of pride.
I don't know, if keep it still going, there's just no end point. Even if there's spin-offs, it just never ends.
Well, the spin-offs are still going, but it's the last season of The Walking Dead proper.
I don't know, every season of that show is the exact same.
Yeah.
It's all we have found a place we think will be our safe haven. Oh no, it's not! And that, rinse and repeat, season after season.
I mean, wouldn't that be how it is?
Yeah, but you have to find some new interesting story to tell instead of
But Garrett, what if I told you the people were the real monsters?
Whoa, that's a revolutionary take, Liam. You should write something.
Yeah. It's not the zombies.
It's the people. I see how it is.
It's the people. They have tigers and swords. And no morals.
Dusty Rhodes is trying to angle himself into power. He was suggesting pushing for a 9 p.m. Monday time slot, which was the consensus among just about everyone asked, including both Jarretts, if they could pick their slot on FX. Right now, they are only in early talking stages. Fucking leave the Monday Night War dead, you stupid idiots.
I like how they're like, this is their idea, let's go. Not just, hey, maybe if we put it on our own night, people might watch it. Yeah. But, I don't know. I want to see, again, this is my problem. I hear things like this and I'm like, I want to know what that world looks like. The world where they got on FX.
And went to war?
No, it's not necessarily on the Monday time slot. Because I know what would happen if they went to war. We saw it in 10 years from now.
And that was during a period when they had millions of viewers watching every week as opposed to hundreds of thousands.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of hundreds of thousands.
So the debut of Impact on June 4th drew a preliminary number of a 0.16 rating based on markets that aired in its regular time slot.
TNA in the mud.
That would translate to maybe 100,000 homes.
That's like a Rampage number.
The final ratings for these shows, because of the different time slots of figuring in different stations, won't be available until 3 weeks after the show takes place. For the network in the time slot, it was considered a good number. That is roughly half of what the network's flagship Best Damn Sports show does at night.
But Garrett,
Yep.
what is the demo?
We don't care about the demo here. We just care about total audience.
What? But the demo is the most important, Garrett, because that's the one that the advertisers look at. Don't you know? After the last 3 years of constant discussion.
No, I don't.
Where's my Fast National?
This is the Fast National, basically.
Oh, cool. When's our cheese board?
Yeah, come on, Dixie.
Follow her on Twitter.
Send us a ham.
Ooh, I need a ham.
So that number was revised from a 0.16 up to a 0.22 when the final number came in, and then the second episode did a 0.32 rating, which would be in like the 200 and something thousand range, the low 200,000s. Those are Dave estimates, by the way, I believe, not the actual numbers. The audience figure, not the rating. The ratings are accurate. The audience figure is a Dave guesstimate based on the rating. But yeah, so they're doing somewhere in like the 150, 200,000 range, which is pretty good on FSN. It's up there with what FSN is doing for their Best Damn Sports show, which is their flagship show that's not local sports. So good numbers, basically.
Damn, that's like half of Ring of Honor towards the end.
And Ring of Honor aired on like 700 different networks.
Remember that day that came out and like I forgot Joe Couple, but it was like, yeah, it's in like 600,000 homes. And you're like, whoa, I don't believe you.
Yeah, it's mostly like 70-year-olds falling asleep with Ring of Honor on after the local news. But
I mean, hey, if it works for NXT 2.0,
it's true. That is the prime demographic you're aiming for.
do you think wrestling is just the olds? Is that the problem?
I think it's made by people who have been making it for 20 years and have no idea what young people want.
And remember, if you are a rich fan of the show, you can donate to us. And for a small donation of $9.7 million, we will start up a promotion with you.
Like, even when you look at Tony Khan, who is a young person, like, his influences are old wrestling, so that bleeds onto his show. So, like, his show isn't even, like, the bastion of wrestling aimed at young people. It's just wrestling. It's good wrestling, but it's still just wrestling. So there's nothing really in wrestling in the last 20 years that's like NXT 2.0 is trying in the obnoxious way, where it's like, we're gonna have Wade Barrett say simp every 15 seconds. It's like,
It's lit!
that's how do you do fellow kids wrestling. But yeah, there's no new wrestling for young people.
One day, maybe, huh?
Well, in theory, that's what WWE is, right? They're the kid wrestling that graduate to the AEW, which is the teen and adult wrestling.
Well, sure. I mean, in theory, it was Dragon Gate for like a decade.
For US fans?
Oh, no, I meant in general. I can't really think of anything else.
Yeah.
I can't say there's any promotion for the youths.
No.
Maybe it is just WWE based on
Scale.
scale. Yeah, like maybe like that is just how it is. But you know, I also feel like this is a very weird tangent to go off on. But hey, we're doing a wrestling podcast. Let's talk about wrestling. I think that as WWE has become slightly more niche while keeping a lot of its global presence, that other wrestling has started to come with it. Like nowadays, people who find WWE are very quick to find an AEW or a New Japan or Indies. You know what I mean? I think the crossover is more than there has been in a long, long time, because now I have people who go up to me and they're like, "Oh, I used to watch WWE, but I saw this AEW thing," and I'm like, "That's crazy to me." Because I've only grown up ever in a world where, like, here people called wrestling WWE.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't say, you like wrestling. They say, oh, you like WWE. Like, and I feel like that perception has changed a lot recently.
It helps when you have a strong number 2 competing.
Well, yes. But, I mean, like, I think this change has been in the air since, like, 2015. I don't think it's been at a peak, but I think it's been trending in this direction.
I do think it largely comes from the internet being pervasive. That, you know, back in 1999, you knew WWE, you knew WCW, and there was no way for a smaller company really to break through without television. Whereas now, if you Google wrestling, you'll get like a smorgasbord of just tons of different wrestling companies. Or that was just harder to do. It was just harder to find out about other things in 1999.
But also, like, if you're like 15-year-old WWE fan and you follow them on YouTube and you click a WWE clip, there's a good chance an AEW clip will pop up right next to it.
Yeah, the algorithm is helping.
Yeah. But like, yeah, and that's not even just AEW. There's a good chance of like you search any wrestling thing, you click on it, then like an Impact clip will come up, or some indie that had a match with someone related to it in it at one point will come up. Like it's not hard. It's not hard to be accidentally exposed to other elements of wrestling now.
Yeah, even if you're searching for Sting, you might find a WCW clip, you might find a WWE clip, you might find an AEW clip, or you might find a TNA clip.
Yeah, which and even like if it's something that's like, oh, I'm going to search Kevin Owens. Oh, Kevin Owens rumored AEW videos, 17 of them in a row. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way for you to be completely in the bubble anymore. Like, even if you're just someone who watches WWE SmackDown and WWE Raw, there's no way to be in the bubble anymore.
Unless you're like a 50-year-old who doesn't use the internet.
Because there's references to other companies now. So, like, just by watching the one promotion, you're gonna pick up some things. Like, if you've, in the last 5 years, if you were someone who literally only watched SmackDown and Raw and never went on the computer ever, you will still have heard of New Japan, and you would have heard a reference to AEW, because they were things that were just mentioned now.
Which is good. That's the way it should be.
Yeah. Well, it's like, if you're that person, at some point, you know that AJ Styles was an IWGP champion in Japan.
You wouldn't know he's a TNA champion, though.
Well, that's wrestling, their entertainment.
Oh, of course, yes. That's my mistake.
Yeah.
New Japan, famously, also entertainment.
Yes. I mean, have you seen it? But yeah, like, in general, like, it's just a more open, easily accessible world, which I guess just comes with the passage of time and the way that the internet and social media has evolved. And Logan Paul.
Well, yeah, Logan Paul helps too. He's the man of the youth warrior.
He's impulsive.
God damn it. The Paul there is actually referring to Triple H, not Logan Paul.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm a politician. A Logan politician.
There was considerable controversy about Fair Play not being on the first TV show, and some regarding Raven as well. The feeling was that Fair Play put TNA over on the final Survivor episode and the company hasn't used him. The flip side is the feeling that he's not worthy as a performer because he gets so fidgety and nervous. He was openly complaining at the show and went to owner Bob Carter, who made a rare appearance at the show, not realizing that it hasn't done anyone any good to go over Jeff Jarrett's head because the Carters know that they don't know wrestling like the Jarretts and leave the talent decisions to them. So old Johnny Fairplay wants to get himself on television and just stuck his mouth in it.
I mean, I don't blame him, but like, isn't he like one of the few guys who are actually signed to a deal?
Well, like most of the wrestlers are signed to deals these days because of television, but yeah, they signed him to a deal and he's not the show. Though there's a vignette for him to debut at the very last show of the month, the last Impact.
Yeah, so we will see how that goes.
Yeah, so old Johnny Fairplay being out in the cold. He's put over TNA on Survivor. TNA's just using Johnny Fairplay for his clout, not willing to give Johnny Fairplay opportunities.
I mean, yeah.
It should be how you do it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yes. That's how being a celebrity guy works, man.
Shane Douglas has retired from wrestling and plans to work as an agent behind the scenes for TNA and a backstage interviewer. He appeared to be in great spirits in his new role behind the scenes last week. He always had a rep for being very open to giving advice and helping wrestlers walk through plans for their matches or interviews. He is said to be excited to focus his attention in that area. Jerry Lynn also worked as a backstage agent, but he will remain as an active wrestler.
Yeah, I think those are two good minds to have behind the scenes. Obviously, Jerry Lynn still doing that to this day, not the active wrestling part, but being an agent backstage.
Mm-hmm.
Always a fun name and face that you see pop up on a Dynamite or a Rampage in a pull them off of each other segment.
There was a funny note that Shane Douglas is especially happy because he just likes, he likes feeling wanted, young wrestlers having to go up to him and ask his opinion on things. He's like, ooh, franchise, let me tell you.
Well, that's always a common theme, right? Especially from the agents who left WWE to go to AEW. They're like, oh my god, I actually get to help.
Apparently he plans to work some indies here and there, but yeah, he's done with wrestling on a mainstream level, and this is pretty much it. He does make a return in 2009 for a little angle with Daniels heading into Slammiversary. But this is pretty much the last time Shane Douglas would have been an active wrestler on a wrestling television show.
I'm curious what Shane Douglas's last match was.
Oh, he still does some indies here and there.
Oh, he has worked a lot
Yeah.
He's worked 12 times this year.
Franchise is still going. This 2004 quote-unquote retirement, it did not stick.
He's working at T-Mart Promotions, ECWA, AIW, ASW, IWR, PWM, BOTB, SWF, oh Jesus Christ, WCPBTW,
That's a lot of initials.
and MCW. And ICW No Holds Barred, of course.
TK should bring in franchise.
And do what? Put him with Titus Alexander.
The future franchise.
The new franchise.
The new franchise.
The new Neo franchise.
One of the reasons Jerry Lynn is shifting to being an agent is because one of his shoulders is in really rough shape, plus at 41 he knows his time as an active worker is limited. He's clearly working really hard at being a great agent, says one TNA source. We'll see some more Jerry Lynn, but in August, basically, he's done for a long while. We won't see him for a year after that.
And then of course, One Night Stand, baby.
One night only, but sure.
One night only, baby. You know, I said it in... My brain had it right, but my mouth did it wrong.
That's always the worst. He does return for a little run in 06-07, but yeah. We won't have much Jerry Lynn left.
You know what? I actually... It's not off topic, because it's about Jerry Lynn. But I love his last match at RVD.
The one night only one or the one at Destination X 2011?
The one night only one.
You prefer to the Destination X one?
I don't know. The Destination X one doesn't stick as well in my brain, but I definitely remember the one night only one. I really like that one.
That's nice you got to do that match one more time.
I look forward to covering it in 2032.
I was always... Because AJ was out doing some angle at that stage. Because it was start of 2013, so it was leading into like broody AJ. And I was always a little sad they didn't do like one more AJ and Jerry Lynn match.
Oh, that would have been cool, wouldn't it? I hope everyone looks forward to our One Night Only series, which will be on the $10 tier of our Patreon in a decade.
I'm starting a new tier for One Night Only. It's going to be like $40.
It's One Night Only, it's $40, and it's a live watch-along. And if you're not there, you don't get to see it.
Yeah, it is literally One Night Only.
Oh! Boom, we got it.
Jerry Jarrett attended Wednesday, July 2nd pay-per-view, his first since undergoing bypass surgery last month. However, he did not fly to the Orlando tapings, which is too bad because he's the co-founder. But he did go to the second set of tapings, I believe, so he's back up in his feet.
How nice was it to see Jerry Jarrett at Ric Flair's last
Honestly,
match?
like, I was so pleased because, like, he hasn't been around wrestling in a long time, and he's a very important figure in wrestling for many reasons, and it was just nice to see him.
And there's the joy on Jeff's face while his dad was talking to the guy, and you just see the little... He's like under his dad's arm, and he's just got a big smile on his face.
Yeah, look at these two on television with Jared Lawler too, but that's...
I hope the Jarretts are in a better place together, because as we've heard throughout literally almost every month of this company's history, can be quite tumultuous.
Yeah, their relationship was a little rocky during this era.
So I hope that things have smoothed over for them.
The extent that Jerry needed heart surgery.
I don't think we can blame Jeff for that.
Can't we?
Listen, we're going to blame Jeff for a lot of things throughout the history of this podcast, so I don't think we need to put his father's heart on it.
Blame Russo for that?
Yes, so I can
you.
accept blaming Russo for that.
The X Division is going to get a major renewed push in TNA as management believes without big names to draw fans, the best way to create stars and stand out from WWE is to prominently feature the best athletes, especially as WWE continues to phase down or out the Cruiserweight division on SmackDown. Styles has been moved into the X Division, which he is thrilled about because he can have better matches. Styles is probably the TNA wrestler's most openly concerned with being matched against the wrestlers he can have standout matches with. He also is excited about being part of re-establishing the division as an equal to the heavyweight division.
You read that line, that sentence to me, and I was like, Paul London, man, I miss you.
Yeah, you made the wrong call, Paul.
We're a politician, damn it. Oh, Paul.
Until you get to like 2006 and you have a cool tag team run, but that's like 2 years away from here.
You could be the 1B in the X Division. It could have been Joe, Styles, Daniels, London.
The classic 4-way.
Unbreakable 2005.
The famous 5-star match featuring Paul London.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Anyway, that was my cool way of getting you to the next one, which is Samoa Joe related. You see how I did that? I set you up for Samoa Joe.
Thank you for being such a podcast professional. Mm-hmm. So in an interview with Torch Talk, Wade Keller asked about TNA to Samoa Joe. Keller's question,
Do you want to read Roger? You be Keller, I'll be Samoa Joe.
Okay, so Wade Keller's question. Had the chance ever come up for you to work regularly for TNA? Is that something you had looked into, considering other guys are making extra money midweek each week?
Actually, yeah! I had a tryout schedule, but there was some miscommunication on when I was supposed to be out there. That was way back when. There was also a miscommunication between me and TNA's Bill Behrens? Bill Behrens, I know you've said the name before. I think Bill for a long time thought I had heat with him over it because AJ used to tell me that Bill thinks I hate him. I didn't. It was just a misunderstanding, no big deal. That was the only offer I got. When I met Jarrett in Japan, he gave me the get in touch with me line and sent me an email asking how my Wednesday nights were looking. I said, they're pretty much open if you want to use me, but I never heard anything back, so that was the extent of my contact with TNA.
Isn't it wild that he's like, yeah, I'm open to it, get in touch, and they didn't for like 2 years?
Yeah. I mean, especially since lately we've heard all the rumors of them being like, yeah, we want to fuck over Ring of Honor, let's get Joe.
Yeah, and maybe that's the reason he ultimately didn't. Maybe he's like, listen, I'll work for you, but not exclusively.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a stumbling block. But listen, he's Samoa Joe, get him in the door.
Especially like right now, he's like one of the best wrestlers of all time. But it's alright, we'll get him.
Maybe we'll win in the end. Get fucked, Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I'm a TNA guy now, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
It's Impact has come around. The 6-sided ring is here. I am firmly planting my flag in the TNA guy soil.
Get out of here, ROH.
Yeah. Until, like, you know, they come back. Really, weekly TV, and then I'm back.
The rumor backstage is that Diamond Dallas Page has been trying to get in through Eric Watts. Sources are betting against Page being hired as a full-time wrestler because Jarrett and Russo didn't care for him while they were all in WCW. One source even predicts that Raven would voice his displeasure with the possibility of Page being hired. Apparently, Raven and Page are no longer on good terms.
Freudian slip there.
Ah, yeah. Everyone's not on good terms with Jarrett.
Or Raven, to be honest.
Raven ends up being Page's first program when he comes in, interestingly.
Well, we'll look forward to that.
You'll have to wait for a few more months, though.
They fly by.
So that's it. That's your news for the month. Let's move on to broad topics.
That's the whole podcast, guys.
And we won't talk about what happened on the shows. It's fine. God, so much scrolling.
I was thinking the exact same thing as I was scrolling down. I was like, Jesus Christ.
When you see all 9 of these shows laid out, one after another, TNAchat.com if you'd like to look at it. It's just, my God, there's so many shows.
This is like one of the few times where I'm like, it might just be better to go show by show.
No, there's way too many shows to go show by show. I'm not talking about every random X Division match.
Oh, hell yeah, we're going to skip stuff?
We're probably not skipping big stuff, but like, half of these X Division multi-mans, it's like, yep, there was a nice X Division multi-man. It was probably one of the better matches of the month. That's it.
We can only talk about so many naturals attacking AMW segments.
So, big story of the month is the feud between Jeff Jarrett and Ron Killings, which stems from the King of the Mountain match, which debuts on the June 2nd pay-per-view.
Feels like a decade ago.
We watched it about a month ago, so it does. Jeff Jarrett defeated Ron Killings, Chris Harris, AJ Styles, and Raven to win the NWA World title in the debut of King of the Mountain.
You know, I enjoyed this match.
Yep.
I thought it was pretty fun. I don't think the concept is as complicated as people pretend it is. The bad faith argument is of TNA. I think it's a fun match. I like, and like, who would I be, right? To constantly complain about the lack of innovation in pro wrestling, and then to poo-poo an innovative idea.
Because, like, ultimately, it's just a ladder match.
Yeah. With some cool elimination stuff, some cool, like, you have to earn your right to put it up there. There's a cool box. What more could you want?
You can do some spots off the box. AJ did a dive over the box. AJ was pushed off a ladder into the box.
There was tables. There was ladders.
Yeah, like, it is, at the end of the day, people always like, it's so convoluted, it's so confusing. But at the end of the day, it's a ladder match. Like, it's constructed as a ladder match. Like, you can't really go wrong because it's a ladder match.
I'm telling you right now, I'd rather watch a King of the Mountain match than a regular ladder match.
Yeah, you want penalty boxes.
I want anything. I'm so sick of, like, the same 4 stipulations.
And, like, they do a fun thing where Jarrett and Raven are in the penalty box, and they're like, oh, these two are going to explode in the penalty box, but they actually hatch schemes in the penalty box together.
Yeah, I am a big fan of the penalty box lore. whenever people go in there. I like it when people get locked in at the same time and they beat each other up in there. I don't know, I think it adds some extra tension. You can do cool things with, like, someone's about to win and then someone's still locked in the box, but they're the only fresh person who could actually go out and get them.
Yeah, or like the rest aren't eligible or something, yeah.
Yeah, I am a fan of King of the Mountain.
Yeah, big King of the Mountain defender, yeah.
Can't wait for it to have a title.
So there was interviews of it throughout the show with all the people who were in it, which mostly was an excuse for Scott Hudson to explain the rules over and over.
Do you think the reason people think the rules are so complicated are because they insisted on constantly explaining the rules, and if they just did it once, people would have got it?
And like to explain the rules, it does usually take about 40 seconds. So it's just like Scott Hudson looking at the camera being like, all right, so you climb the ladder, you hang the belt, but in order to hang the belt or climb the ladder and hang the belt, you have to score a pinfall submission. If you score a pinfall submission, you go to the penalty box. Which, to be fair, I just did it in 2 minutes, in like 10 seconds, but still, it took Scott Hudson a while.
They should have just done their pre-match text on the screen rundown, and that's it. And I think people would have gotten it way quicker.
As I said last month, I think all they ever needed was an on-screen display to tell you who's eligible, and that solves the entire problem. Because I think that's the only thing people lose track of.
Yeah, I think I have no problem with this match type or with this execution of the match.
So AJ was pushed off a ladder into the penalty box. Harris and Raven were pushed off ladders into tables. Truth started to climb. He was the only one left because Jarrett was in the box, but Jarrett got out, grabbed a guitar, hit Truth with a guitar. The hook fell down, so he had to re-hang the hook and then hang the belt, and then he became the new...
He double won.
He is the double champion. The new NWA World Champion for a third time is the King of the Mountain, Jeff Jarrett.
And the last time.
He'll never win it again. It's fine.
Right?
We'll never be subjected to 2 more years of this, dude.
But, like, you know, he'll put someone over at the end of it. It'll be great.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I like this match. I have nothing more to say than what I have.
Yeah, I thought AJ worked extra hard to make this match work. He took all of the bumps.
AJ worked extra hard to make this work. Should have been the tagline for TNA.
He really, yes, it is. AJ did work extra hard to make this work. And like this is notable. It's the last time Harris is in the heavyweight division, full stop. And it's the last time Styles is in the heavyweight division for about a year.
Yep.
So both are all back to doing their mid-card divisions, while Jeff Jarrett gets to play world champion by himself.
Listen, I get why you dislike it, but I also get AMW tag champs AJ Styles running the X division when going to television.
Ultimately, I probably agree with it, but I still like if they went with someone other than...
You just wanted Ron Killings to win this.
I wanted Raven to win this, honestly, but yeah.
Yeah. One of the other two.
Just not Jarrett as champ, for the love of God.
Yeah. This isn't the time that... I'll talk more about my Jarrett thoughts when we get to the Killings match.
So the show ended with a random woman walking out. Mike Tenay was like, do you know who that is? And I'm like, no, I don't, Mike.
I think we both went, no.
And she stood there and everyone was shocked. And Mike Tenay was like, she hasn't been in wrestling in years. And I'm like, I still don't know who she is, Mike. She was Gorgeous George, a.k.a. Stacy Ballard. She was the valet of Randy Savage in WCW.
My favorite part about this was later on they brought in Eric Watts' wife, and I thought it was the same person. I was like, oh, they're going to pay that off. That's fun.
Because it was Gorgeous George, and his wife's name was Georgie, wasn't it?
It was something lame.
Wow, way to bury his wife.
It was a bad name. I literally went to myself, this has to be her real name because it's no way it's a wrestling name.
So, yeah, she showed up twice. Apparently the plan was to make her Jarrett's valet, I think maybe to tease Savage coming in the end. But she showed up twice and she was gone, so there you go.
Cool.
There's a pretty consistent trend with there being like a lot of backstage gossip about women not knowing their place in wrestling, and I'm like,
Yeah. It's almost like dudes are the ones talking to Dave and the Torch.
Maybe. So Jarrett's your new end.
And also, we saw Goldilocks get like blacklisted for 6 months.
Hey, she's back, and there's 4 stories this month about Goldilocks is terrible. I hate her.
She's like one of the best on-screen characters.
So Jarrett's your new NWA World Champion. We had that segment on the first episode of Impact where he hits Truth with a guitar after he goes face-to-face with Dusty. Then BG ends that promo saying that Jarrett will have to answer to 3LK on the next pay-per-view, which he does. So Jarrett comes out next pay-per-view June 9th. He has a bunch of musicians playing like the...
This This is sports entertainment, baby, and this is what I love.
So yeah, there's a bunch of people playing like the trombone to the classic TNA intro theme, the na 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 na.
My favorite part about it is they get to like the second refrain and everyone's like, wait, what the fuck is this bit?
Must be noted, by the way, Jeff Jarrett, he ain't dead, he ain't The Rock, gone.
I thought it did say he ain't dead, he ain't The Rock.
I was listening on this show in particular, it says he ain't dead, he ain't Jack.
What?
Yeah, unless they use the wrong one a couple times later in the month, but the Jack one was 100% here on...
I literally paid attention to the last episode of this month to see if it was, and I think it said he ain't dead, he ain't The Rock, but I will double check.
They might have used the wrong one a couple times, but 100%, this June 9th show, they said Jack.
When we go to intermission, I will check and see if he says it on the last episode.
By intermission, we mean me pooping and Liam getting an energy drink.
He ain't dead, he ain't Jack!
So Jarrett, by the way, they've introduced the six-sided ring in the Asylum as well, which I think they were thinking of maybe not doing at first, but then they were like, no, we have to.
Imagine how much more these shows would suck without the six-sided ring.
It would be so much more jarring. Like, it's already jarring to go from the Impact Zone to the Asylum. If it was going from a six-sided ring to a four-sided ring, it would be like, oh.
Yeah.
So Jarrett was wearing a tux. He had a red carpet. He's very pleased with himself. He's crowning himself the official King of the Mountain. He's the NWA World Champion. He insisted Vince Russo come out and congratulate him. He wants them to put him over. Russo placed the title around his waist. Russo says he looked at all they've accomplished as a team. Jarrett says it's actually all been about him. And at this stage, I was like, are they like doing some weird couples therapy on TV at this stage?
Yeah, but that's cool.
Or like this whole segment is Russo being like, this was done by the whole group around us, and Jarrett's like, no, it was me.
Yeah. I don't know. I like it because I was like, this is either a representation of Jarrett backstage or it's a representation of Russo backstage.
It's like a choose your own adventure of who you would like to side with based on...
Yeah, based on context clues throughout the TNA's history.
So yeah, Jarrett says it's all about him. He called out all his haters. And then Jarrett got physical with Russo, but Trill came out to save. And then Truth announced a Triple Jeopardy match for tonight. They didn't explain what Triple Jeopardy was in the moment, though.
You're not allowed to do that. You can't be like, we're having this match. And be like, I don't know what that is, but we're having it.
Hey, he's pals with Vinny Roo. He can do whatever he wants, even though Vinny Roo hates him. I'm not sure how that works.
Vince Russo is supposed to be unbiased. I don't agree with this.
Trill K explained later in the show that the Triple Jeopardy match is 3 separate matches. He'll face Conan in a strap match, he'll face BG in a Trailer Park Trash match, and then face Truth in a Ghetto Justice match back to back to back.
Hell yeah. Is this the only Ghetto Justice match in history?
I believe it might be. I don't know what constitutes a Ghetto Justice match. Even after watching it, I still don't know what constitutes a Ghetto Justice match. But
I think the Ghetto Justice match is just Ron Killings gets to use a guitar.
That makes sense.
I think that's it.
So then we had those 3 matches, and they were pretty bad.
Yeah, I remember liking one a little more.
Which one?
Oh yeah, okay. The Conan one I thought was okay.
Uh-huh.
I hated the BG James one, the second worst match I've seen this month. And the Ron Killings one was okay. And by okay, I mean I gave it 1 star. But the BG James one was one I gave a full half a star less than the rest. Oh, because it was just crowd brawling. I was like, fuck you, man.
So the strap match against Conan, winner had to get to 10 straps to win. Jarrett threw powder in Conan's eyes, then whipped him a bunch. He won 10-8.
That was fun. And then he kept doing a couple more at the end.
Yeah, so...
I kind of felt like Conan and BG got jobbed the fuck out here.
Yeah, they're very much the nerds of the Tree Life crew.
Yeah. I expect that from BG, but Conan, come on.
So then he faced BG in a Trailer Park Trash match where Mensa, who was the Gorgeous George, this is her last appearance, but she was watching on.
Yep.
She was called Mensa. Or Minsa? Not sure.
I'm not going to even try.
So Jarrett stroked BG into the rail and won. And then finally, Killings faced Jarrett in a Ghetto Justice match. Jarrett tried to use the guitar. Andrew Thomas said no, so Jarrett hit him with it. Then Truth rolled up Jarrett as a second ref. Rudy ran out, counted 3. Jarrett lost his mind. He was real mad. He lost. He said, we'll see you at Impact.
I like that because Jarrett's like, all right, Ghetto Justice means I can use the guitar. And he's like, no. And like, wait, what?
Whatever it means, who
it's
knows?
Like he's just like, I don't know the rules of the match, man.
No one actually explained to Andrew Thomas what he was supposed to allow and disallow. So he's like, I don't think so, so no.
Andrew Thomas is like, listen, man, he didn't even explain it to me either.
I'm just gonna call it as a shoot.
I think in the promo they cut before, Truth was like, "You're gonna find out when I'm out there."
We never did. We'll never know what a Ghetto Justice match is.
I think it's Truth is allowed to use weapons and Jeff isn't.
It's one of the deep mysteries of TNA wrestling. One of the questions that will linger forever. What exactly is a Ghetto Justice match?
When our mysterious benefactor gives us the 9.7 million, we will run a Ghetto Justice match.
And finally define the rules?
No.
So on Impact, 3 Live Crew defeat David Young and the Naturals. Truth pinned Young with an axe kick.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
There's a story here, but there's a lot of matches. I think I counted 45 matches this month, so don't worry if you don't remember some of them.
Yeah, David Young, he loses a lot.
He is on a losing streak. There was a story here about that, how the Naturals didn't like doing a job to 3LK because they're in a feud with AMW, and they tried to come up with like a way to lose differently, where they like accidentally hit each other, so they'd have somewhat of an out for losing, and Jarrett like chewed him out for not wanting to do a job. But no, like they still were willing to do the job. They just wanted to do it in a way that might protect them a little, and Jarrett was like, "How dare you?"
Also, David Young's on that team.
Yeah, who did take the fall.
Yeah, I mean, they are in a feud with the tag champs.
So Jarrett comes out, he's about to say something about Wednesday on the pay-per-view, and Dusty interrupts, says Jarrett will defend the NWA World title against Ron Killings on the anniversary show on June 23rd. Then Truth said he's going to knock Jarrett off the mountain, before Jarrett promised a public execution on the pay-per-view.
In a way, that's exactly what we saw.
Yeah, so we had Jeff Jarrett's Elite Guard, his new pack of goons.
The elite.
I did cut a clip of Darren Moore introducing the Elite Guard, where he left long enough of a pause. He's like, introducing first, the Elite Guard.
Yeah, I think for this month's podcast title, right? Mm-hmm. We should do a classic flagship style, just put the main things in it, so we can have like Jeff Hardy, Six Sides, Impact Zone, the Elite.
Sure, that is going to be the episode title. Jeff Hardy, Six Sides, Impact Zone Elite.
Yeah, and whatever more we can think of.
So yeah, 3 Live Crew face the Elite Guard. If you're wondering who the Elite Guard are, they're Onyx, Chad Collier, and the debuting Hot Stuff Hernandez. Yes, that Hernandez.
I like Chad Collier and Hot Stuff Hernandez. And Onyx is a good Pokemon.
It's true. So this is the greatest trio of all time.
Well, actually, I'm lying. Onyx is a historically terrible Pokemon, but I love the design.
So, like, the Elite Guard, they're doing this, like, military mercenary act. So they're, like, running around the ring in, like, formation.
I just can't believe Kenny and the Bucks debuted like this.
Don West on commentary begins to point out how if you look at 3 Live Crew and you look at the Elite Guard, they have a very similar ethnic composition. It's like they have a black guy, they have a white guy, and they have a Mexican guy.
And see, like, I can't even get mad at Mike, because before he said it, I thought the same thing. I was like, is that intentional?
It's like mirror images here.
They start doing doink spots.
So mostly it was a brawl around the building, but Killings and Hernandez did a little match in the ring while the other 4 brawled around the building. Truth won with an axe kick. Jarrett tried to hit Truth with a guitar after the match, but Truth turned it around. Elite Guard jumped Truth. Jarrett hit a stroke and was going to guitar Truth, but then Russo ran out, tapped Jarrett in like the shoulder. Jarrett swiveled the hips, smashed Russo with the guitar. Russo was bleeding, busted open, in horrible shape.
That was a really good guitar shot.
You just enjoy seeing Vince Russo get El Kabong down, don't you?
No. You know what my first thought was? I was watching this and I was like, what if like Jarrett just like twisted his wrist and then just hit him with the hard bit?
Just to like rub it in, just out of sheer spite.
Yeah. I was like, how much would that fuck him up? Because then I started thinking of the times where Jarrett like hit people with a non-gimmick guitar.
Yeah.
And he like just kills them.
Should have done it to Russo here.
And then I was thinking about like, if I ever get to direct a movie, I want to do a guitar shot really badly.
Oh, they should have more like guitar shots in action movies. It would rock.
Right? And then like, I know that you could do the Jarrett like exploding guitar, but I want to do it with like the non-worked one. I want to see if you can recreate that with the big bonk and like it just crushes the guitar inwards.
I don't think stuntmen and actors would appreciate you being like, what if we use the non-prop guitar?
We'll find a way. This is my vision.
So it was fake blood used for Russo to sell the guitar shot. Russo is apparently not particularly pleased with this feud with Jarrett. He thinks it sucks, but listen, Jarrett wants it, so Jarrett gets it.
I agree, Vince.
Vinny Roo, his vision is just being held back.
I can relate, Vince. These actors and these stuntmen don't want to shoot guitar shots.
So Russo taken away in an ambulance, and then end of the show, Hudson has Jarrett. Jarrett said that Russo has no business in the ring, was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he'll face Killings next week.
Mm-hmm.
Next episode of Impact, Mike today mentions that Russo broke his nose from Jarrett's guitar shot.
I like the makeup work on Russo for the rest of the month.
It's pretty convincing, to be fair, isn't it?
Yeah, I learned how to do bruise makeup, and I have to admit, he doesn't use one tactic I was told is that you should put a lot of yellow in it.
Yeah,
because that's because like you go directly to like purples and stuff. That's just not how bruises actually end up looking. But he went all with the purple, but I still thought it looked good.
Yeah. So main event of this episode of Impact, which was the point at which it was like, oh, this company has no stars, where it's like the main event is Killings and Eric Young, and I'm like, for like 2004 TNA, that's perfectly fine, but also for a pro wrestling television show, that's not a main event.
Yeah, I would love to have seen the quarter hours, or I guess the 5-minute hours.
So Dusty's on commentary here. Jerry Lynn chased Scott D'Amore away from ringside. We'll talk about the Lynn and D'Amore stuff in a minute. Killings won with the axe kick. Jarrett came out after the match. He's still in his tux. He's in his tux on every segment in these shows.
I like that the tux gets more disheveled as the month goes.
Yeah, do you think he's washing this tux between shows?
Yeah. But I do appreciate, like, he had the tie done up and then the tie fell to the side and then, like, it wasn't tucked in.
So yeah, Jarrett hits Dusty with a guitar. Jarrett beats up Killings with the remains of the guitar until Trill can't make the save because Jarrett has to punk out Killings at literally every turn. Russo comes out, he's big mad, and he says that if a guitar is used at Wednesday's match between Jarrett and Killings for the title, it will be an immediate disqualification. I thought that was the case anyway, but apparently Vince Russo needs to reiterate this.
No, you're wrong, Garrett. Referee's discretion applies, as we have seen in many a main event where they've just done a bunch of weapon shots. This time, they're like, no, none of this bloody referee discretion. You will DQ them straight away.
But usually for the guitar shots, they're very rare. They're not done in referee plain sight. They're done with ref bumps or ref's distractions. Like, it's not like the case that there has been legal guitar shots in this company. It's always been illegal.
Yeah, they've always been illegal, but they would have let them go, I feel. This one they're emphasizing. I wasn't like, this makes no sense to me when I was listening to it. I could put the two and two together in my head.
I enjoyed Dusty on commentary. He's like, he looked like he walked out of a casket, if you get what I mean, Daddy. It's because he's wearing
I get what you mean.
Yes, I do get you. Thank you, Dusty. Jarrett punked out Truth one more time as they went off the air as well, because Lord knows Truth can never get anything in.
It was a very good guitar shot on Dusty too. What can I say? We hit him with the guitar. I love it every time.
So, main event of the second anniversary show is Jeff Jarrett versus Ron the Truth Killings for the NWA World title. Before the match starts, Russo comes to the ring with Mike Posey and starts searching for guitars.
Yeah, so I feel like you're going to be dumb and lame and hate this match.
I am, but I'm also going to say I don't think they went far enough. I think they should have found fucking 50 guitars.
Yes. All right, we're on the same page there. I adore that Larry Z's the best, and he's like, hey man, we know how to cheat. There's definitely a second guitar.
Yeah, so they find one guitar, and they're like, yep, job done, we found his guitar. And Larry Z walks over, it's like, pal, because there's a bunch of legends there, because it's the second anniversary. So Larry Z and Harley Race walk over, it's like, that was way too easy.
They should have found one like under the commentary desk and had Mike and Dom be like, well, when did this get here?
100%. There should have been like 10 guitars around ringside.
There should have been one in the merchandise stands with Sarah, the merchandising lady.
There should have been one in the old dancer cage.
I was about to say there should be one in the dancer cage.
Couple hidden in the old sex locker room.
Yes, and then of course I adore the payoff of him taking away the steel steps, and there's another one.
He has hidden his master guitar underneath the steel steps.
I see that this is the part I was going to talk about earlier. I love Jarrett as a character. Dude is the best. He's like, if Edge was aware
Sure.
and was like, oh, I'm a big dork. I'm not talking about like Edge now, like Edge and his like peak heel shtick.
Yeah.
If he was like that whole time, he wasn't like, oh, I'm the coolest. if he was like, oh, I'm a big loser, but I think I'm the coolest. That's what Jeff Jarrett is.
Yeah.
And I love it. The problem is the bell rings.
And he has to wrestle a wrestling match, and this was not a very good one.
No, but the payoff to this match was enough for me to like it.
Because they did have good matches in like 02. Like they were the overbooked mess that they always are, but I thought they at least had good wrestling matches, whereas this...
Yeah, for sure.
This wasn't a good wrestling match. It was just...
No. I loved the Jarrett hitting a stroke off the stage and then going for the cover.
Yeah, because he's like, it's Asylum rules. There's no law here.
Yeah, and again, that proves my point too. Referee discretion. They just broke a bunch of tables and were outside the ring for like over 10 seconds.
And
It's fine.
Vince Russo made it clear he would never, ever, ever, Liam, never overturn a referee's decision.
Yep, 100%.
Ever.
I gave this match like 2.25 or whatever. I bumped it to 2.5 when I thought Ron Killings won. And then I sadly went back and turned it off and went back to 2.25.
So yeah, Conan and BG came out trying to interfere, but they were removed. Jarrett hit Truth with the NWA title, but Truth kicked out. Then Jarrett revealed his master plan. He had a secret hidden guitar under the steps, showing how smart he was. And he did the head point. Of course he did the head point.
He's the smartest individual in the world.
Killings got the guitar after they struggled for it. He nailed Jarrett with the guitar to win the title. Then Andrew Thomas and Mike Posey were talking to Rudy as Russo came out. Jarrett was like on his knees, praying, begging for justice here.
See, he's self-aware.
This is the ghetto justice.
Who knew that the ghetto justice would be on Jeff Jarrett's side?
That's true.
Ron Killings' own match type against him.
Russo made his very sad, conflicted face. He didn't know what to do. Dusty came out and he told Russo that sometimes there's a right decision and a wrong decision, but sometimes the wrong decision is right. Tells Russo to make the decision with his heart as we go off the air.
I like that in that Dusty admits that Jarrett should win.
Yeah, he's like, listen, by right here, we said if a guitar is used, it's a disqualification. Truth should lose.
Not even that. An immediate disqualification, which takes it out of the referee's hands. Because the match type is like, it's done immediately as soon as it happens. You don't need a ref to call it.
So Truth should lose, but fuck Jeff Jarrett. Give the belt to Truth.
Yeah. And people were into the idea of Truth with being a 3-time champ too, so...
Wrestlers are once again expressing their frustration with Jarrett's self-serving booking. He's never going to let people get ahead of him, one wrestler said. He's the worst thing for our company. The heat on Jarrett's booking died down when Impact debuted, but it hasn't taken long for wrestlers to resume complaining behind Jarrett's back. He does make Truth look like a giant nerd all month.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. With like same thing with Wildcat. If the payoff was Truth winning here, it would have been fine. It's not a great build, but it would have had the right ending. But, you know, we.
So, Impact, Jarrett comes out. Jarrett's like, yo, give him a belt.
Yo, listen.
Yo, listen. Wii U, guitar my belt.
Guitar my belt.
He's interrupted by Larry Z. Larry has a message from Russo. Larry announced that the decision will not be made today on Impact. It'll be made on Wednesday at the pay-per-view.
Oh, the best. Because he frames it like, Vince Russo and Dusty have given me the decision that you will find out on Wednesday. And the crowd goes, boo.
So Jarrett hits Larry with the guitar. Justifiable, to be honest.
It was a good one, too. I'm going to say that every time, aren't I? I just love guitar shots.
Trio K ran in. Elite Guard ran in. Jarrett and the Elite Guard stood tall. So, last show of the month, Russo comes out. He's in the ring with Scott Hudson. Scott's like, yo, Vinny Roo, who's champ? Vince Russo, he consulted with Dusty, but he still hasn't made his decision. So he wants Truth and Jarrett to come out to plead their cases.
What was all the talking last on fucking Impact, man?
He's been thinking about this for a whole week, Liam. He's consulted with referees, he's been thinking about it, and he still needs more information.
I liked the idea of Russo being at home, like trying to eat a meal. His kids are like, "Oh, Dad," and he's like, "Oh, don't talk to me. I'm thinking about this Ron Killings situation, man. I can't even eat." Just pushes his wife's cooking away, goes to his office. He's just in there all night smoking cigars,
staring longingly out the window, wondering, "What do I do? What do I do?"
The clouds transform into images of Ron Killings and images of Jeff Jarrett and a guitar.
The guitar between them, and like
the guitar hits Jeff in the head and the clouds break apart.
So Truth comes out, Conan does his shtick, but before Truth can cut his promo, Jarrett comes out. Jarrett plays footage of Russo saying that there'll be an immediate DQ if the guitar is used. And he's like, this is my smoking gun. He wants Russo to live up to saying he's a new man, stand by his word. Then Truth comes out, he runs a montage of his own, which is just Jarrett hitting people in the head with guitars.
Is that every guitar shot in TNA history? Because then we can steal it as our base point for the thing that we wanted to do.
I don't think it's every one of them. I think it was just the recent ones.
We can never do it now.
He also showed footage of Jarrett being the one to introduce the guitar in the title match. And then he said, if the guitar hit doesn't fit, you must quit.
Yeah, sure.
Which... he also, like, Truth was like, Vinny Ruth, think about it. When you go home to your kids, and your kids are like, Daddy, I got into a fight. What should I do? Should you tell the kid to be a cowardly bitch, or should you tell the kid to stand up for himself? That's what you need to decide.
Russo's
here.
like, I'd tell my kids to get the shit kicked out of them. I don't know what your problem is.
But I do like if the guitar hit doesn't fit, you must quit.
Oh, we could sell that on a shirt.
Russo says he'd never overturn a referee's decision. Never, ever. And then he did just that. He gave the belt back to Jarrett. So Jarrett technically wins the match the week before by disqualification.
Awful. Bad. Poo-poo.
Russo, the worst part of it is afterwards, Russo then gave out to Ron Killings. It's like, how could you stoop to this? This is your fault.
Yeah, why does he hate Ron? He has always hated this guy. AJ's his boy, and he hates Ron Killings.
So then he announces that Jarrett will defend the belt next week in an 8-man gauntlet match that will feature Jarrett, the 3 members of 3 Live Crew, the 3 members of Elite Guard, and the 4th man, the returning first ever NWA World Champion of the TNA era, the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock's here.
Okay.
He comes out to a tepid reaction. He beats up Onyx, he beats up Hernandez. Then Chad Collier kind of kicks his ass for a little bit.
Yes. Which actually kind of rules.
And the segment just ends. I'm like, well, okay. Shamrock's back. You happy?
No.
He's not back for long, so he shouldn't be.
Well, I wasn't, so that's good.
Ken Shamrock told friends last week that he has not signed a long-term contract with TNA and has no intention of doing so. He was upbeat and positive backstage, interacting with wrestlers, some of whom he knew from his stint 2 years ago, and others whom he had never met. He seemed excited to be back in pro wrestling and happy to work a few dates for TNA, but also wants to continue his MMA training.
Well, one of these two things is probably a lot more valuable.
We had a big ass brawl to close that show as well. That had Jarrett, that had the Elite Guard, that had Shamrock.
I enjoyed the big ass brawl.
You'll get used to them, but yeah, this one felt fresh because they had Team Canada out there, they had all the AMW and the Naturals out there, they had D'Lo and Monty out there, they had AJ. AJ's music was playing all through the big ass brawl.
Yeah, and I liked that. There was a lot of X Division guys in there too, which kind of separated it from just being the main event scene guys who were boring.
Yeah, so Jarrett and Killings are still feuding. They're feuding all month. Jarrett's your new NWA champion. Ken Shamrock's back.
Yeah, well, Ken Shamrock should be scared, man. He doesn't know double J, double MMA.
It's true. Jeff Jarrett should shoot on him.
Yeah.
All right, let's head over to the X Division. Start of the month, first show of the month, Frankie Kazarian defended the X Division title against Amazing Red, who, if you remember, beat Sanjay in that best of 3 series last month. Good little match. Cut off a Red Springboard, one with the Wave of the Future. I think this match was the best Red looked this month.
Yeah, because Red has looked bad.
Well, he looked good in the Impact opener as well, the first Impact match. And then I think pretty much every match he's had other than that, he's looked pretty bad in, so...
Yeah, so like, I think that Red is still a good wrestler and will have good matches from this point forward, but it's clear he's not he's not the guy anymore.
It's very clear, yeah, he's come back from this knee injury a step slower, maybe a step too early, and he's just not the same amazing Red that was here in 2002.
This is not the guy that, like, we were flaunting as, like, the next Rey Mysterio. Look at this guy, he's so crazy. Like, he's still a very good high flyer who can do some crazy stuff. But, he's not that guy.
I do think he kind of gets back to being that guy, but, like, far too late.
Because he does have more good runs in him.
Yeah, but, like, I think he's just the very sad case of a guy whose body just would not hold up to this, and he was probably too innovative for his own good.
Or even, like, just bad timing, too, because it happened before TV.
So, yeah, Red is, at least, he's still around. He's still doing things.
In 2022.
And I feel like if they didn't decide to move AJ back to the X Division, I feel like there's a good chance Red would have won the belt here, right?
I think, to me it seems like AJ was always the plan.
But like, if they were like, no, we're going to keep AJ heavyweight, he's like the biggest star, we're actually going to put the belt on him and make him our guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, he probably would have been the number 2.
I feel like it would have went to Red instead of AJ.
Yes, but yeah, like I said, I think that it was always going to be AJ. But like, if for some reason like Ron Killings got hurt and they're like, we have to go into an AJ thing instead, it probably would have been Red, yeah. Or Hector.
Yeah, big Hector run.
I'm into it.
Speaking of Hector, first episode of Impact, as we mentioned, opened with Hector, Amazing Red Sonjay defeating Team Canada's P.D. Williams, Eric Young, and Bobby Roode. Hector won with the Tornado, and the main event of that show was the AJ Styles returning to the X Division. He beat Chris Sabin, Elix Skipper, and Michael Shane in a really good match. And again, I talked about this, like, AJ feels like TNA AJ now. In the same way Jeff Jarrett feels like TNA Jeff Jarrett in a bad way, AJ feels like TNA AJ in a good way.
Yeah, I agree.
Everything about the music, the gear, him being like babyface ace of a division,
the whole presentation.
It just feels right, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is what you want. Like, until he gets like long tights and becomes main event guy AJ again, this is like what we got, you know?
Yeah.
This is it.
So June 9th pay-per-view number 98, we have a Michael Shane against Chris Sabin match that
don't have any recollection about.
I saw this in the notes and I'm like, I just don't remember. I remember franchise big leaguing Michael Shane even from like beyond the retirement grave because he was going to look for Raven during the match and they cut away to him. I remember that. But like the actual match, I could not tell you a thing about this Chris Sabin Michael Shane match.
Nah, I got nothing for you on this one.
According to me taking notes, Tracy helped Shane avoid the cradle shock. Shane threw Sabin into Tracy and then landed a super kick for the win. That's a match that happened, apparently.
According to me, I gave it 2 stars.
Good job.
You gave it 2.5. You loved it by Impact standards.
2.5 is the rating I give to good, competent wrestling that I don't remember.
Hey, that's 2.
Like 2 is a match that is well performed but not interesting whatsoever. 2.25 is a match that's well performed but like just forgettable, and then 2.5 is well performed, not interesting, but like 2 competent pro wrestlers doing good pro wrestling that's just not interesting.
Okay, I'm looking back. This is the lowest rated month I've had this year.
Oh, that's not great.
But I think I liked it more than some other years because I liked the angles more, but the wrestling was bad.
So, main event of this episode for the X Division title, AJ Styles defeats Frankie Kazarian to become champion once again.
Oh, yeah, because I remember I was watching this show and I was like, I looked at the scores and like, this might be my lowest rated Impact pay-per-view ever.
Well, you have those 3 matches. This is the show with the 3 Jeff Jarrett matches, none of which are good.
Yeah, so I went 2, 2, 2, 2.25, 1, a half star, 1, and a 2.5 on the main.
I thought AJ and Frank, actually, no, the finish of AJ and Frankie was just, oh, God.
And the match went on forever.
Yeah, so AJ went up top. He went for the spiral tap and he missed. He overshot it. Just completely missed. Mm-hmm. Went for the cover. Frankie kicked out because I think he knew it looked like shit.
Well, no, you could see AJ talking to him and saying, kick out, we'll do something else out of it.
Yeah, but Mike Posey, who was the referee and obviously was told the spiral tap is the finish, who didn't count 3 2 other times on this show, by the way. We'll probably get into that in other feuds, but there were 2 other matches on the show where someone pinned, or David Young pinned Sanjay, I think, at one point on this show, and he counted 1, he counted 2, nobody kicked out, and he just decided it wasn't a 3 count. Like, there he's fine deciding what a finish is and isn't, but in this AJ match where that spiral tap completely missed, looked like shit, he still counted the 3. They did that classic thing where, like, even though he just won the X Division title, he looked super pissed off because the match finish was completely messed up.
This is a month of AJ looking pissed off.
He's just mad about all this shit happening with him.
I mean, when the Jeff match was happening, he looked like he had fucking just fist fought someone.
Yeah, Dallas ran out, jumped Styles, the Styles escaped, but then Cash jumped Styles from behind, laid him out, posed with the X Division title. Kid Cash is coming for the X title after losing the tag titles.
Yep, looking forward to that match.
June 11th, Impact opened with Kid Cash against Amazing Red. Cash being with the Moneymaker. They did the top rope powerbomb into a Rana spot, which is always cool.
Yeah, these 2 are still fun together. Yeah. I like Kid Cash a lot, man. Now, can't wait till you say some shit about him that makes me not like him.
Yeah, he does have a month this month. We'll talk about that in a minute. So AJ beat Frankie to retain the X Division title in the rematch on Impact. One of the rare instances of them doing something notable on Impact, even if it's just a rematch. Styles won with the Styles Clash, but then got dropped by Cash and Dallas until security made the save.
I like this match more because it was like way shorter.
Yeah, it was like 8 minutes. I think they even went to a commercial full of energy. Again, the urgency on Impact is much higher than it is on the pay-per-views.
I love Impact's speed. It's so much more fun. these shows are like, they fly by in comparison.
It is truly your 60-minute adrenaline rush.
Adrenaline rush, adrenaline rush.
So June 16th show, AJ Styles faces Dallas. And a match I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty fun.
I thought it was like easily the best Dallas has looked. They did this really cool spot where Dallas grabbed AJ's leg, flung him overhead, but AJ did like a full land on his feet senton, then came back immediately with the Pele. Absolutely rocked.
I wonder if these two ever worked a G1 together.
Feels like they'd have a very good G1 match, doesn't it?
I'll have a look while you talk about Team Canada and Team NWA.
No, that'll be in the D'Amore and Jerry Lynn segment. So we'll stick with the main X Division stuff here, Liam, please. So Cash is on crutches because he suffered an injury in the match against Red. He broke his fibula, I think it was. He tried to interfere, but AJ overcame it. AJ won with like a stacked pin. Cash and Dallas attacked after the match, but the returning D'Lo Brown made the save. Dude, you got the real deal now. D'Lo cut a promo. He was talking about how AJ returning to the X Division has rekindled D'Lo's own title aspirations and how he is now coming for the NWA World Heavyweight title.
AJ did defeat Lance Archer in the 2014 G1 Climax.
There you go. We'll watch that match on Rain Takers at some stage.
Yeah, in like 2 years from now, because we're doing it like simultaneously, kind of.
I do feel like the second AJ escaped the Jeff Jarrett like vortex, he immediately felt like himself, and it's just like second he gets away from Double J and his endless guitar shots and its endless bullshit, he just feels like the ace of the company.
Well, to me, I think it's less getting away from Jarrett and more getting away from Russo.
Just getting away from the main event booking.
Yeah, I get, Ron Killings versus AJ right now.
Yeah, and you can see how it's just eaten Ron Killings alive. And Ron Killings is better than he has been presented and better than he has been given an opportunity to show on these shows.
Well, because I sometimes watch these shows in my lounge room, and my housemate would always he always gets excited whenever he sees Ron Killings, and then he sees what Ron Killings is doing and just walks away.
Sees Jeff Jarrett punking him out.
He's like, "Oh yeah, cool, Ron Killings. He looks so young here, man. He looks great." And he's like, we watched 3 seconds of him, and he's like, "Yeah, no, enough of that for the day."
So the June 18th episode of Impact opened with a multi-man X Division match. It was Hector Garza versus Miyamoto versus Chris Sabin versus Elix Skipper versus Michael Shane versus Frankie Kazarian.
Okay, so the one negative of Impact.
Right.
These matches go so quick that sometimes I miss the finishes and have to go back.
Well, the finish here is Garza won with the torneo.
Which I thought, by the way, he was gonna fucking miss.
Which after AJ missed that freaking spiral tap, would not be the first person to miss something.
But I forgot who he hit it on. I think it was...
Was it Miyamoto?
No, I don't think it was Miyamoto. No, it was. Which I thought was weird because I was like, he's going to get a tag title shot. He was really close to the ropes. And I was like, is Hector going to be able to hit this? But man, that dude knows how to move his body in the air, and he hit it fucking flush.
Miyamoto, who still wrestles these days, apparently. I was looking at this cage match, and he just randomly wrestles in Mexico.
Does he pop up in Mexico? I know that I've seen his name around a lot. He does just pop up in Mexico. I guess he lives in Mexico right now.
He's the classic, I'm on North American excursion, I'm going to do a Great Muta impression.
Yeah, which I always hate.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's like, be your own thing. We look at Takeshita now is going to be like the template for new excursions. You don't have to just pretend to be the one successful excursion from 30 years ago.
Well, that's a whole thing in itself, isn't it? But at least maybe that will inspire people that when they go over, they can just kind of be themselves.
Rather than having to pander to Americans by pretending to be the one Japanese wrestler they knew. So yeah, Garza won. We're continuing the little, the low-key Hector Garza push this month. There's not a lot of focus on him, but he's winning matches.
Oh, I wish there was a low-key Hector Garza push.
Later on in the show, we get AJ Styles against Mr. Aguila, which is a cool little match.
It's always nice to see AJ pop up in these random singles.
Where he just gets to wrestle a guy and have a good match.
Yeah, and also, Mr. Aguilar has become a quick pod favourite.
With his cool gear.
Listen, I don't know if I'm ready to commit to that.
His often see-through cool gear.
Well, this definitely is that.
So yeah, Styles won with the Styles Clash. Cash and Dallas were watching off on the ramp. They jumped him out of the match. D'Lo made the save. D'Lo announced he's going to challenge the winner of Jarrett versus Truth as Styles continues to feud with Cash, heading into the next pay-per-view where he will defend the belt against Cash.
Yeah, he did say that he was going to go after Jarrett versus Truth winner.
Yeah, poor D'Lo.
I don't like D'Lo. I'm sorry. This D'Lo run has been bad. It's a cool thing that at least they're reuniting the AJ feud because that was the best he's ever been positioned.
Should just be a tag team with AJ. Clearly that was his role.
But yeah, everything else I have not enjoyed, including a little Monty Brown thing that's about to happen, which was terrible.
So AJ Styles was to defend the X Division title against Kid Cash on the 2nd anniversary show, and Kid Cash injured, broken foot as mentioned, so he was facing a mystery opponent instead. There were multiple teasers through the show. Who could have possibly known who it was, even though it was narrated by Jeff Hardy?
Yeah, but like if you're there in the building, you probably didn't know.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know that it was Jeff Hardy, you might not have picked up on the voice that it was Jeff Hardy.
It was kind of robotic. Yeah. So AJ Styles faces the mystery opponent, the debuting charismatic enigma, Jeff Hardy, who gets, I think, easily the biggest pop in TNA history, even bigger than the Sting pops.
Yeah. There's a lot of... Well, because we knew about Sting, you know? We didn't know Jeff was happening.
So you got the nice surprise when Jeff Hardy's name appeared on the screen. He came out, you had the green lasers, the crowd went absolutely bonkers. Like, absolutely bonkers for Jeff Hardy.
This is one of those, one of the few Asylum era moments that I knew.
The Hardy debut?
I had seen this before, yeah. I had seen the Hardy debut before.
Had you seen the match or just the debut?
I had seen the match. Oh, maybe highlights. Whatever was on the... It was on one of the DVDs, at least.
It's probably on the top 50 moments of TNA history, I'd imagine.
Yeah. But I don't know if it was like the full match or if it was just highlights from the match on that DVD. But I've definitely seen the match. I think I may have even seen it on YouTube when I was first getting into anything outside of WWE. Jeff looks weird here, man. He doesn't have like that much muscle on him. He's very leaned out at the moment. Doesn't have the face paint on.
Like, this wasn't even like a particularly good match, but like the sheer novelty of AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy plus the crowd response, they didn't like do much. They only went about 7 minutes, and part of the reason they only went 7 minutes is Jeff is like, pals, I can't do a 15-minute match with AJ, make it 7.
Yeah. I mean, I dug the match. I thought it was fun, and it was just cool to see Jeff there. It was cool to see Jeff in a 6-sided ring, you know? A lot of fun. But I imagine there is a story behind this.
So yeah, the reason they kept it as a mystery instead of promoting Jeff Hardy in advance was that they were not 100% sure Jeff would be there. So they were like, we're going to make it a mystery opponent, and if he's not, we'll have a backup plan, and if he is, it's Jeff Hardy, woo. And like, even then, he nearly missed his flight. I think he missed 2 flights on his first day with the company. Jarrett had to personally call him and ask him to catch the next available flight, and he got there just about in time. Listen, it worked out. It was fine. Don't worry about it.
I'm a little worried about it.
Not to entirely cast aspersions about Jeff, but like, he's not Jeff Hardy here, is he?
Well, yeah, you know, he's not the biggest star in the world.
But like, in terms of, he's not all there.
Yes, that's quite evident there too.
But he's still enough of Jeff Hardy to have a decent match with AJ, so they have that going for them.
There is a part in this segment where Jeff, after his entrance, goes on every single corner and does a pose, and by the end of it, he is blown up.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was not the best of omens for the rest of the match, but I think they managed to put together something that was pretty fun.
Yeah, as I said, they carried it based on like the novelty of the 2 wrestlers in the ring, and the crowd were just going absolutely apeshit bananas for everything they were doing. And at least Jeff was aware it's like, I can't do a 15-minute match with AJ. I'm not capable of it. So they just went 7 in and out.
We'll get there.
Yeah, so did the match. Hardy hit the Whisper in the Wind. Crowd went nuts, but then Cash and Dallas ran in, causing a double DQ, no contest. Hardy and Styles ran off Cash and Dallas as Hardy hit Dallas with the Swanton, and then Styles and Hardy had like a tense standoff where they weren't exactly pals.
Well, yeah, AJ didn't exactly look happy about Jeff being there.
Or perhaps the match he just had with Jeff, but listen.
Well, he didn't look happy about it before the match even took place.
That is like the problem with this era of Jeff, and that this company desperately needs stars. Like, so badly. And Jeff is probably the biggest current star in TNA history, excluding like Sting and Piper and Luger, who at this stage were bigger stars than Jeff. And Jeff is about the same level of star of some of them just in like wrestling history. But at this stage, he's a bigger star than Raven. He's probably a bigger star than Jarrett. And they need him. But they know 100%, beyond doubt, he's going to burn them. The question is when and how long they can get before he does. But they need him, so he is back. He is around full time for about a year and a half. But yeah, it's the conundrum you put yourself in.
So Garrett, you know how I mentioned that we would eventually get there with a 15-minute Jeff Hardy AJ Styles singles match?
Yeah.
We do. 2021 Monday Night Raw.
Oh no. Their best match is probably on Impact in 2013. They have a really good match on Impact in 2013.
Impact Wrestling 472 in the Bound for Glory series.
Yeah, they have a really good match there.
So, well, no, I haven't seen the Monday Night Raw match, okay, in the Thunderdome. But, yeah, so... It doesn't seem like we ever got, like, a real big match between the two.
No, they never had a major TNA pay-per-view match. They had a bunch of TV matches.
And shit ton of house show matches.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no big pay-per-view match between the two, which is kind of interesting. You think that would be one that you could make some money on.
Especially like 2010, you would have had Babyface Hardy, heel AJ. That seems like, I know they're building toward Immortal where they're both in the same heel group. But even then, like, they spin that off into Fortune versus Immortal, where again, you'd think heel Hardy against Babyface AJ. At some stage, you would have thought, let's put him on pay-per-view, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, Gary, if you were in the Township Auditorium in Columbia, South Carolina, you saw it, baby.
They probably did a version of the match that they just did in this 2004 pay-per-view.
Yeah, well, they did 10 of them.
So we have, quite frankly, a lot of Kid Cash drama this month.
I'm excited for some Kid Cash drama.
GNA management was not happy about the quotes Kid Cash made in a recent radio interview. A quote from Cash which said he would gut his way through a broken fibula if he were still working with ECW was printed and posted on the locker room door.
Oh, Jesus.
The quote also included a line about the company catering to AJ Styles and other wrestlers. Cash was not bashful about the comments he made. In fact, he took a seat closest to the door and didn't back down when he was confronted by Styles. When Styles said TNA doesn't cater to him, Cash asked Styles to explain why Dixie Carter paid for some of his clothes and a haircut. Styles was said to be flustered and simply walked away.
Well, you know what? I hate to break it to you, Kid Cash.
You're going to make the exact same point I'm going to make. Go on.
When you're planning to be the face of the company, you get some special treatment. Imagine, if I may, say you're Takashi Iizuka, right?
Right.
2012, this Kazuchika Okada kid comes in. And they're like, oh man, they're giving that guy they're putting a lot of money into him. They're giving him all this new gear, this haircut. Oh my, they're catering to him. Ooh. And it's like, oh yeah, because they plan to make him the focus point of the company.
And also, just in general, when you're a wrestler as good as AJ Styles, I think the company, frankly, should cater to you at all times.
The company should cater to the wrestlers that are going to be the focus points of the entire company.
When there is the man who has been, for the 2+ years of TNA's existence, head and shoulders above pretty much everybody else, I think he has every right to be catered to, frankly.
Yeah, like, and also, you know, we're in a situation where we're a small company where our wrestlers get stolen every 24 seconds. So maybe we try and make AJ like us.
Make it feel like this is his cause and he would like to stay here forever.
So it's their investment. Like, they're investing in their stars. I'm sorry, Cash, that you're not being put on the same level as Styles and Raven. America's Most Wanted.
Yeah, so Cash would prefer to get a release from TNA rather than a pay raise, although he has asked for both in recent weeks. Bob Ryder turned down Cash's request for a release and explained that they had too much invested in him to simply let him go. Cash has been claiming to anyone who will listen the company is paying $1,200 a week to Styles, Raven, Harris, and Storm, yet won't budge on his $500 a week payoff.
It's AJ Styles.
It's AJ Styles, especially AJ. It's AJ Styles.
I mean, listen, do I think that Cash has probably earned a bump? Yeah. But, like, you're not AJ Styles, Raven, Chris Harris, or James Storm. By the way, those 4 people, the other people we have given Wrestler of the Year to, or Tag Team of the Year to.
Yeah.
So
they have pretty much carried the backbone of all of the good things that have happened in this company for the last 2 years.
See, he's not complaining about what Jeff's getting paid.
And, like, to be fair, Kid Cash has been very good in his own right. Not burying Kid Cash.
Again, I do think they should give him a pay bump.
Maybe $700 a month? I don't know.
Something.
Or a week even.
Because he's also, like, you know, very good and has been a major part of the show since he came in. But, like, there's a way to go about it. And I guess, you know, if you're frustrated because they're not going about it after you've done it in the proper channels, I'm sure there is frustration there. But, like, don't do this. This is unprofessional.
A number of wrestlers received raises when the company rolled over their contracts on June 16th. The company had to give the wrestlers 60 days notice that they were going to pick up their option for a second year. As reported last week, Kid Cash is one of the wrestlers who did not receive a raise and has been griping about it ever since. Jimmy Hart, who is known for being as diplomatic as anyone in the business, even had his fill of Cash's complaining. Observers say Hart listened to Cash's gripe for several minutes about being underutilized and underpaid. Hart even concurred with Cash and then sarcastically suggested that he quit and not make any money. Hart also reminded Cash that his weekly payday doubled recently because of the addition of the iMPACT tapings.
Does that mean he gets paid $1,000 a week regardless of if he's booked on the second set of tapings?
No, I'd imagine it's per match rather than per week. So if he wrestles, he gets paid.
Then if I'm Cash, I'm like, well, then make sure I'm booked on every taping. I think that Cash does have a gripe here, and I'm sure it's frustrating that it doesn't feel like there's any way to ensure that you're going to get what you want. But I don't think tearing down your fellow wrestlers in the locker room is the way to go about it.
Well, Liam, you'll be pleased to know they turned it into a work shoot. So,
well, we did see a bit of that towards on the show with Jeff.
June 25th, Impact has a 6-man tag. It's Amazing Red, Skipper, and Chris Sabin against Nasawa, Miyamoto, and Kazarian. It's one of those matches that was pretty good, pretty enjoyable, good wrestlers.
Really pushing Nasawa and Miyamoto around their tag title match.
This is where Nasawa learned everything about politicking from Vince Russo. And 4 Dragon Gate fans have put up with it to this very day.
I don't want to talk about it.
Nasawa had the pin on Red after a Michinoku driver pulled him up. Skipper pinned Nasawa with the play of the day.
Well, don't you look a fool, Nasawa?
So Styles was again meant to face Kid Cash on the June 30th pay-per-view, finally getting that match, but...
Well, should we include the AJ tag?
Oh yeah, Styles and D'Lo faced Dallas and Abyss in the main event of that episode. I guess that really fits nowhere else.
Yeah, because I think it was meant to be a continuation of the Cash AJ stuff, but Cash is out, so Abyss is in.
Yeah, so Styles caught Dallas with a roll-up. Monty brawled with D'Lo after because they're feuding. Cash and Dallas attacked Styles before Cash dropped Styles with the Moneymaker, and then the heels killed the babyfaces to show it off the air. Good little match.
Yeah, I thought it was alright.
When you put 4 good wrestlers in there and Styles and D'Lo have good chemistry, good, fun stuff. Thumbs up.
I think that match definitely would have been better if Cash was in there instead of Abyss, just because they have had experience teaming up and it could have been more of a straight tag, but it's still pretty alright.
So Styles, as mentioned, was meant to face Cash on the last show of the month. Cash, they said, has been...
But Matt Hardy showed up. Cold-blooded.
They said that Cash has been suspended, but they didn't say what for. Scott Hudson asks Vince Russo later in the show what he was suspended for, and again he says, no, we can't tell you.
Which I think is such a cop-out. Nope, not gonna say.
So Cash left the Nashville Fairgrounds shortly after meeting with TNA management prior to the June 30th pay-per-view. His bio has been removed from the TNA website, and the wrestlers contacted are split as to whether that's a sign that he has been granted his release or if management is turning the tension into a worth-shoot storyline. It's the latter. One wrestler says Cash did earn some points with some of the wrestlers, though, when he pointed out that AJ Styles is treated as the golden child by management for good reason.
Yeah, but that's just something I don't fucking understand.
Well, you see, they're not the golden child, Liam. It's them that's not being considered for this position. It's AJ, so it's AJ getting preferential treatment. That has nothing to do with the degree to which he is talented. It's just unfair.
But it's also, value for their money. This is the guy, my head hurts. I mean, I get it. It's an ego business, but...
They're just jealous of his spot. And jealous that he's better than them. So,
yeah.
You can see he gets preferential treatment, says one TNA wrestler. I can't blame them. He's a top guy who's been here from the start, but it's definitely true what Cash said. He's a bit of a hero for having the balls to say it, but it won't get him anywhere. These people are stupid.
I mean, I like that wrestler even admits that he knows why. He's like, yeah, he's been here from the start, and he over-delivers in everything he's given, and he's a top guy. But, it's still bullshit.
So as it turns out, this Cash stuff is probably a work turned into a shoot. It probably started as real, as Dave doesn't think his interview where he complained was a setup, but then somewhere they're like, let's turn it into a work. And then they work the locker room, work the boys. They announce the suspension of the website thing. Except he's not gone, they're trying to do a Pillman thing.
Okay.
So he'll come back probably sometime next month and they'll do the he doesn't work here.
Okay.
So AJ was meant to face Cash. Instead, he ends up defending the match in a 6-way. We had a sit-down X Division interview before that where Scott Hudson had...
So this is where we should have picked up on it because they're doing the Kid Cash shit.
Yeah. So Hudson has the entire X Division. Daniel says that AJ deserves to be champ and that they all want what he's done. Then Michael Shane kind of snickers and gets into it with Daniels. And then Shane and Kazarian thing is like, AJ doesn't belong in the X Division anymore.
Because he's killing us.
Because he's a much bigger star than us, and we have bigger matches and better matches because he's here with us. Wait, no.
Yep.
Main event of that show, 6-way X Division title match. AJ Styles retained the belt against Michael Shane, Frankie Kazarian, Chris Sabin, Amazing Red, and Neelix Skipper.
I thought this was fun. I really liked the last 5 minutes where it went balls to the walls and everyone was just hitting stuff out of nowhere.
Yeah, because there was a really long heat segment on AJ in the middle.
But I liked it because I liked the story of this is the guys who resent AJ for his position beating the shit out of him.
But then, yeah, as you said, once they kicked things into gear and just went all out, they did just go all out. It was just Styles, Red, Shane, Kazarian, Skipper just doing stuff, and Sabin having a cool match.
Yeah, I like this match.
There's an especially cool spot where Styles had somebody in the Styles Clash, and then Frankie wave of the future Styles, which also included him hitting the Styles Clash. It's pretty cool.
We also had a really cool spot where Red went for the runner on the top. AJ caught him into the Styles Clash.
Yeah, which was the finish. Then he hit the Styles Clash to win, retain the belt. AJ's still your champion. But the story going forward is that Michael Shane and Frankie Kazarian are perhaps an alliance to take down AJ.
I'm very excited for. I was thinking at the start of this month, we have to surely be getting to the Frankie and Michael Shane stuff.
Because Shane has been kind of rudderless without the franchise stuff, and finally,
so was Frankie, to be honest. He just had a bad match with AJ and then a good TV match, and he was just back in multi-man.
Yeah, it was very much the case that's all right. AJ's the guy now, so we're putting the belt on him, and you're just an afterthought. But now they have promo time, they have characters, they're feuding with AJ. So that brings us to the other kind of X Division adjacent feud for the month, which is Team Canada against Jerry Lynn and Team NWA. It's more of a Scott D'Amore against Jerry Lynn feud.
Yeah.
So, first show of the month, June 2nd, Bobby Roode and Petey Williams faces Jerry Lynn and Heavy Metal. I kind of like Heavy Metal because he's kind of terrible.
Hey, you want to know something?
What?
I kind of like Heavy Metal because he's kind of terrible.
He is such a unique kind of terrible that he's uncooperative, he's uncoordinated, he just does shit out of the blue, but it makes him feel novel.
Yeah. And he kills himself while doing it.
Yeah.
He's kind of a perfect mix. You know what he is?
Mm-hmm.
He's that very special part of a Sasha match.
Yeah.
Where she just throws it all and just says, fuck it, and let's go. But he's that the whole match.
Or is it just that little element of danger?
Yeah. Someone might get hurt here. And his name is Heavy Metal. And he has race car gear.
Oh, the race car gear rules. I love his gear. I love his look in general.
It's perfect. I love Heavy Metal.
So, yeah. Even though he's being brought back, Heavy Metal is having a lot of things said negative about him, similar to Hoovy. On the June 2nd show, the feeling was that he didn't sell enough, and he also gave Lynn the hot tag 2 minutes earlier with Lynn screaming at him not to, which caused the match to end 2 minutes early. When asked about it, he responded that sometimes in Mexico you change things on the fly.
Sometimes in all of wrestling you do that.
Yeah, he's a true worker. He's he felt that was the moment for the hot tag. Jerry, get in there.
Yeah, would you yell at Sasha if you took it home 2 minutes early? No. I do like that I'm comparing Heavy Metal to the biggest star in WWE.
Yeah, it's Sasha Banks and Heavy Metal. It's the natural lineage of professional wrestling.
I would love some photos of Heavy Metal with his fans 5 meters away from him.
He's no, keep away from me.
Yeah, I would pay $120 to take a photo 5 feet from Heavy Metal.
Was that how much they cost?
120 was for the double with Naomi.
Oh.
So it's still probably $80 for Sasha. I love... I'm getting into this Sasha thing because I love it. I have no negative resentment towards Sasha about this. Keep those creepers away from me. The fact that she would hug the women would make all the men stand 5 feet away from her. It's the fucking best.
Those are the correct instincts when it comes to professional wrestling fans too.
Yeah. Sasha's great. I hope she doesn't go back.
She's probably going back.
I know.
So Lynn was about to pile drive to...
You got Io, okay? You can't get Sasha as well.
They're going to get Roddy too, and you're going to be so upset.
Roddy, man. Hey, Roddy. Listen, I know it's really tempting. I know Paul's there, okay? I know that he has a magic way with words, but you could do the 4v4, okay? You could do blood and guts, man. Just fucking... I'm just wanting to just go wrestle fucking Kenny in a singles, please. You're my top 5 wrestler of the 2010s, man. Please.
Listen, we'll get Roddy in 2005 TNA.
And I have heard on the grapevine there's one Alex Shelley coming up soon.
The very first show of July.
What a happy birthday present this is for me.
Lynn was about to pile drive Scott D'Amore, but Derek Young hit Lynn with the flag attached to a hockey stick, allowing Team Canada to win. Team Canada attacked him after the match, but Team NWA made the save.
I'm not into this flag match build.
Well, yeah, because it's still more World X Cup stuff and you hate it. It's like the World X Cup carryover stuff, so you're like, oh, it has the stink of X Cup on it.
I mean, maybe that's it, yeah. But also, I hate flag matches, so...
But you love flags.
I know, but I think they should be used as accessories and not be bandied around such. I do appreciate Scott D'Amore ripping a flag. It's the ultimate sign of defiance.
So, opening match of the first Impact was that 6-man tag with Team Canada, which leads us to the next pay-per-view, which had Team Canada facing the team of Hector Garza of Heavy Metal and Jerry Lynn. Lynn chased D'Amore out of the building straight away. D'Amore and Lynn eventually re-emerged on the other side of the building. D'Amore hit Heavy Metal with the hockey stick. Rude followed with a sit-out powerbomb. And then they tried to bury Garza under the flag after the match, but Lynn made the save. Lynn... They didn't try to bury Garza, just bury him under a flag.
In a way.
Lynn hit D'Amore with the NWA flag and was about to pile drive D'Amore again, but the Canadian stopped him. D'Amore ripped the NWA flag before the Team USA ran out to make the save.
Yeah, this part I did enjoy. I wish they weren't cowards, Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say something here.
Oh, you wanted to desecrate a different flag, is what you're about to say.
Yes, I would have enjoyed if they ripped the American flag.
Which is, I believe, technically illegal in some places.
But also based?
But it stands for freedom, Liam. And in order to stand for freedom, you should be allowed to destroy the symbol.
And what does NWA stand for?
Tradition. We've discussed this many times on this podcast.
Yeah, wait, is D'Amore anti-tradition? Has that ever been a part of his character?
Yeah, he's going to join sex.
Alright, let's go. Speaking of sex, did you see D'Amore in the singles match?
We'll get to it. Next episode of Impact, another multi-man. Team Canada defeated Team Mexico. D'Amore hooked Heavy Metal's leg, and then Rude pinned him with a Death Valley driver. Canada jumped Team Mexico afterwards. Garza tried to make the save, got overwhelmed. Team NWA made the save. You're discovering a reoccurring theme in these segments.
Yeah, so... To make a modern comp, right? Mm-hmm. Remember when Team Taz and Sting started feuding?
Yeah.
And every week there would be a Team Taz beat down, Sting save segment? Because they had like a whole nother month until the pay-per-view.
Yep.
That's what we're seeing right now, and it goes back to the earlier point that we made where we were talking about how there's just too much time to fill here, and... If this was a 4-week, 2 pay-per-view thing, this would be a lot smoother. But because we're having to drag it on to fill time on all of these shows, it's getting bloated. Which is kind of fitting because of the payoff to this whole feud is quite a bloated match. So maybe it was all intentional.
So main event of the next pay-per-view, TNA interviews Team Canada and D'Amore. TNA is mad that D'Amore ripped the flag of the NWA. TNA is like, no, you don't rip tradition.
I love this backstage, not the TNA segment with D'Amore. I think D'Amore's great.
He's a top quality manager. Probably doesn't get enough credit for how good a manager he is.
One of my my favorite characters on the show. I love his public facing character versus the like behind the scenes character that he's got going on, where it's like in front of the camera, in front of the interview, I'm cordial, I apologize for my actions, I'm trying to be nice, I'm trying to give a presentation about Canada and Canadians, right? But then as soon as he thinks the camera's off, he's like, fuck you, don't question my authority, I fucking rule all this shit. I like that he's kind of playing it in a two-faced manner.
So yeah, D'Amore says that the NWA oppresses Canadians.
Which I love, and I love Mike Tenay's response of like, no, there was one Canadian NWA champ, and he's like, 50 years ago, Mike.
Yeah. And one in 50 years, huh, Mike, huh?
Mike's like, yeah, the NWA knows one Canadian guy. It's cool.
He's like, Lynn is a poster boy for TNA because he keeps on failing.
Which is a great bit.
Then TNA starts asking PD, Rude, and EY why D'Amore leads them. Scott cuts them off before they can talk. Then Rude asks, like, when can we speak? And D'Amore gets real mad. And it's like, as you said, he thinks he's called the segment off, and he starts shouting at TNA first, kind of trying to cause dissension in his group.
Yeah, I really love Scott. I also really love I got the impression maybe that we were starting to lead to like Bobby Roode leaving, but I was like, that feels early. But maybe we're just doing like a setup to that. I also noticed, where is A1?
He's a much later audition. Like even Johnny Devine's only like in and out. He pops up in like 1 or 2 segments here and there.
I get Johnny Devine and A1 mixed up.
All the Canadians look the same to you, huh?
Listen, me and Mike. What can I say? But you're right. I was thinking of Johnny Devine because I was like, man, Devine killed it in his like one match that he did do that I thought that I really liked. So I've been missing that guy.
He pops up at some stage. I think it's in either the big ass brawl at the end or during the Linda Moore match. He is on one of the shows this month.
Okay, I'm glad that he hasn't been like removed from the group.
So then, June 23rd, Jerry Lynn finally gets his hands on Scott D'Amore in a match that goes, for reasons passing comprehension, 15 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, because I was saying before we started the show, like the first 7 minutes of this, I was into. I loved it. I love D'Amore's shtick. I love that. I love him flexing. I love him trying to get out of the match multiple times. But then, it kept going.
Sure did.
And then I fell asleep. Then I woke up and realized that I was watching Masquerita Sagrada, and I was like, wait a minute.
That's not Scott D'Amore.
So I rewound it, and I saw the Cradle Pile Driver where he drops Scott right on his fucking head.
Yeah, right in his bead.
Which I love that. But I see here in our notes that you can get at patreon.com. There is a reason for this.
Yeah, so the show had been improperly timed and they basically had 10 extra minutes. So rather than rearrange the entire format of the show, they just lumped this segment, which was meant to go 8 minutes, so that it went 18. And it's like, D'Amore apparently wasn't entirely happy that he like literally did like a straight up match with Jerry Lynn. He thought he should have been a little more chicken shit heel, but they ended up going 15 minutes and he kind of dominated him for a while. It was very weird.
Well, he dominated him last time as well.
Yeah, that match was only like 5 minutes, so
it kind of makes sense, I guess. I'm guessing that 10 minutes came from them finding out that Jeff didn't want to go another 10.
So, yeah, D'Amore hits a moonsault, Lynn kicks out, to which Mike Tenay and Don West are stunned. They're like, how can this big load Scott D'Amore land on Jerry Lynn and not kill him? Which is very mean.
Also, and I said this last time, Scott isn't in bad shape. Like, he's a big dude, but he's clearly like an athletic big dude.
Yeah. So, D'Amore dropped the ref with a hockey stick as Lynn got a visual pin. D'Amore broke the stick across Lynn's back, but then Lynn kicked out. Lynn won with a cradle pile driver, which, as you mentioned, right on Scott D'Amore's head, right in his dome.
It was a great pile driver and a great sell.
So, Lynn had Born and Raised in the USA as his theme song for this, and it played through the entire post-match angle. Team Canada attacked, Saban made the save. They overwhelm save, and then Daniels makes his ultimate return from his shoulder injury to make the save.
I was going to sing it as you did the rundown to symbolize the segment.
To really give people an idea of how it felt to watch this segment.
Yeah. Garrett, I have a question. Would you recommend anything that we've talked about to the fans so far?
Some of the X Division multi-mans are good.
Maybe check. I mean, I tell you what, if we're being honest, I would say watch the first episode of Impact.
Oh yeah, watch that whole episode. It rocks.
And you know, you can watch it with our commentary alongside it.
And it's free on YouTube as well. You can just like that shows up on YouTube. So you can just go to YouTube. Yeah. You can watch.
We should upload the commentary so then you can just open up 2 tabs.
Well, it's on Patreon.
Guys, I tried. I'm sorry.
TNA.com. But yeah, great episode of television. Really, like as I said, a great showcase of what TNA is. The rest of the stuff this month, it's all like none of it is bad except maybe the Trail K stuff. That's not good. And you hate this Desire and Trinity match we're going to talk about.
Oh, I might tell you to watch that just if you hate yourself.
But there's just a lot of stuff that's fine, and you won't remember any of it. It'll just come and go. Even like the good X Division matches are all pretty like none of them are blow your mind, out of this world, best X Division match you'll ever see. They're all good little matches, and nothing really rises above good little match this month. Yeah,
I mean, there's some fun stuff, but nothing that I'm like, you have to go see.
Yeah, so last show of the month, Team Canada faces Sabu and Sanjay Dutt. Rude tried to hit Sabu with a hockey stick, but Sabu blocked it with a chair. Threw the chair into Rude's face and dropped a leg on the chair for the win. Sabu then hits Raven's pose after the match. D'Amore was mad, Rude and Petey for losing, as Divine and EY then tried to cool things.
You love this match.
What did I give it?
2 3/4.
Yeah, I thought it was a good little match. They're good wrestlers in the match. My favorite spot in this match was Sabu was going to do his classic, like, run up the chair into a leg drop in the corner, but then Bobby Roode just petulantly kicked the chair into Sabu's shins.
There's a couple good chair moments in this. Like when he got it in there and he did it, and then he realized afterwards, I think like Sanjay did a roll in, and he's like, holy shit, the chair's there. So he had to like roll over the chair to dodge it, and it looked real cool.
But yeah, so there's dissension in Team Canada, which I don't think ever goes anywhere, but D'Amour's shouting at everybody.
Well, they're kind of on a bit of a downward spring of not really achieving much, so...
Even though they literally just beat AMW on television, but that's neither here nor there.
Is that going somewhere? Maybe. Who knows?
Perhaps.
Well, I'll pose another question to you, Garrett.
Shoot.
How do you feel about Team Canada's current position on the card? Because they came in pretty strong. They've only been here a few months now. They're a consistent part of the show. They're all over the show in multiple divisions.
I think they've settled well into a role that works for them as like real solid utility players. That they're the team or the wrestlers that they plug in literally anywhere when they just need guys to have a good match and a good little program. And it's like, let's just get one of the Canadians. We can put EY in a main event against Ron Killings for TV. We can put these guys in a TV match against AMW. We can put them against Sabu and Sanjay. We can just basically do whatever we want with them because they're good, well-rounded utility players.
They also fit that role that a lot of randos would get thrown into. That would be a lot less interesting because you didn't actually buy them. But you chuck Petey and Bobby Roode in a match or something, and you're like, oh, these guys could actually win in this, what would be like Sabu and Sanjay versus Pat Kenny and fucking whoever, right?
Like, you get a little of that where it's like AMW, we'll talk about this in a very brief moment. Actually, we'll go straight to the tag stuff, but they faced Nasawa and Miyamoto on one of these shows, and it's like, they're never losing.
But also, like, that was really poorly built because they just had them lose all the way up to it. If they had got, like, a couple wins, not saying that you would have really bought it, but you're like, there was something to it,
You're like, they didn't put enough behind Nasawa and Miyamoto.
I'm saying always that no one puts enough behind Nasawa.
Tag team division, first show of the month. You had Kid Cash and Dallas defending the NWA World Tag Team titles against the team of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and the Cowboy James Storm.
So, like, not even by the standards of watching this a month ago, by how different the company feels from this first show, this feels like a decade and a half.
Yeah, because like most of this match is Dusty stalling, Dusty being Dusty as the crowd goes nuts for him standing still, which, you know what, if you can do that, you can do it, but it doesn't make the most compelling watching it like 18 years after the fact.
Also, Dusty Rhodes, an official member of America's Most Wanted.
Yeah, American Dream's Most Wanted.
Good stuff. I mean, it's fun to see these all together. I'm sure it was wild for James to get to tag with Dusty.
Yeah, so Dallas hits Storm with a pipe, allowing Cash to roll him up to retain.
I found it very weird that I called James Storm James instead of Storm.
You're on first name terms with him. It's fine. You're buddy Cowboy James.
I didn't like it. It didn't phonetically flow. No, James. James and Chris, not Storm and Harris.
Yeah, Wildcat and Cowboy. So despite Storm losing that match, they immediately got a title match as AMW reunited to defeat Kid Cash and Dallas and become NWA World Tag Team Champions. I do like the whole story here. Like, Dusty does a promo about how Cash and Dallas called themselves one of the best tag teams in the world, and he looked at like the space encyclopedia, which is kind of how he frames it, like, of all the wisdom in the galaxy, daddy, and he could not find Kid Cash and Dallas's name in this best tag team space encyclopedia. So I like the story that like they called themselves the best tag team for ages because AMW weren't in the division, and the second AMW were in the division, they beat them for the titles.
Which, like, I guess makes sense a little bit because you're like, Dusty and Storm were more of a special attraction than the actual best team in company history.
So an important note here, randomly, out of nowhere, AMW have decided to start wearing their old ring gear.
I didn't even notice the difference, if I'm being honest.
It's the gear they wore in like early 02 and like start of 03 maybe, and they haven't worn it for the best part of a year.
Yes. I know what you're talking about now, because when they really started, I thought when this is not your fault, this is a Mike Tenay thing for me. He refers to the entrance gear as gear, and that confuses me because I think of the wrestling gear as gear.
Not the jackets. It's just the jackets.
I think of that as like entrance gear. So yeah, I thought you meant like their tights were different or something. But yes, I get what you mean now. Like their original like jackets and hat.
The Storm is wearing the hat and the black jacket, and Harris is wearing that like red and black shiny jacket he has that they haven't worn in ages, but they're wearing to set up this angle with
they're wearing it because they had to go back to their roots to win the tag titles, Garrett.
Of course, storytelling. So yeah, Dallas gets crotched in the ropes, Harris rolls him up. 4-time champs.
The last time ever, I'm sure.
So they did this gimmick where they had a poll on the website to determine who would face AMW in their first tag title defense. And the three options were the NYC, Triple X, and the Cash and Dallas. And even though they knew Daniels was already injured when they started the poll, Daniels won, Triple X won.
Maybe they were really thinking that the NYC fans were going to come out in droves.
They would rally.
I mean, if I was voting.
Cash and Dallas fans would come out. Like, Kid Cash is being held down by this horrible AJ guy.
Maybe they were just like hoping that Cash would log in many a time and just keep voting for himself.
He'd hack the website.
Yeah.
So AMW, instead of facing Triple X, who was the number 1 team, the skipper announced Daniels would be out for 4 to 6 weeks. They would face the number 2 option, which was the NYC.
And then they had like the goal to have this highlight video later on in the month of all the cool tag teams in the division, which, by the way, there was like 3 good ones in it. And they put Triple X in there. I'm like, fuck you, they haven't wrestled in like 3 months.
Yeah, because they had Triple X, they had the Naturals, they had Team Canada, and they had AMW.
No, they didn't have the Naturals.
Oh yeah, they didn't include the Naturals, even though it was before a match featuring the Naturals.
Yes, because I remember I kept looking at it going, okay, when are the Naturals going to come up? And then they didn't.
Yeah, and they had Team Canada. So they had like 3 actual teams, and then they're like Miyamoto and Nasawa, Sonny
The NYC.
Sonny Siaki, and Irish Pat Kenny.
And I remember like one of them being like, now, you may not like them, but you can't deny the NYC's in-ring ability. And I'm like, can't I?
Oh, and in this backstage segment, so Skipper was just talking, and they did like a dramatic zoom in on his abs. Where they're like zoomed into his abs and like panned up to his face. It's like, listen, I get it. His abs are very
Premier
good.
athlete.
I like Don on commentary. It's like, AMW must be absolutely delighted they're facing these nerds instead of Triple X.
I mean, he said basically the same thing in the Naturals match too.
So Trinity tried to interfere, Desire even the odds. Harris pinned Gilberti with a spear. Then we had more NYC nonsense
With
afterwards.
NYC.
There's lots of NYC nonsense. So Cash and Dallas are off doing their own thing. This is AMW's division now. So Impact, Monty Brown squashed Sonny Siaki as AMW watched on from the ramp because they have a title match coming up against Monty
I'm
and
into
Abyss.
the Monty and Abyss tag team in theory, but then the match was pretty meh.
I really liked that match.
I thought it was kind of meh.
This was one of the very few matches this month that I was actually like, you know what, I'm on board. I enjoyed this match.
You think maybe it's because it's a bunch of people you enjoy?
Well, no, because the crowd were hot, the crowd were into it, they had a good match, and then the Naturals came out to cause a DQ, because of course. But yeah, I thought it was a good match. I don't know what to say, Liam. I thought the good heat, good action, good near falls, good wrestling.
Man, you're allowed to.
I get it. You hate Abyss. You were like, Abyss shouldn't be doing things. They should have taken him out of that other tag match against D'Lo and AJ.
Yeah, if Kid Cash was in this. Wow.
So yeah, Naturals interfered to cause a DQ. The Naturals are on the gut check list, so they're super mad, and then they stole AMW's ring gear. They stole the jackets.
I don't want to talk about each individual fucking beatdown from the Naturals, but I just wanted to say that I really liked all of them. I thought they came in with intensity. I thought they were really interesting. I was really into the Naturals AMW builder on this.
Which is funny because you sent me a message last night, which I think was during the Trial K match, where it was Naturals and David Young against Trial K, where you were like, I'm bored and the Naturals are on my screen.
That's before they stole clothing and started beating people up. What do you want from me? Well, yes, but I think what I failed to take into account was that the 3 Live crew were also on my screen.
Ah, yeah, that's fair.
I did not beware.
They are coming for you.
It's a remix.
You didn't miss the It's the Remix. Well done.
So only bit I remember now. Drilled into my head.
So they stole the ring jackets. Next episode of Impact, the Naturals are facing Sanjay and Sabu, but AMW jumped them before the match. They brawl for a little while.
Every time, I forget which one is wearing James Storm's gear. Andy Douglas.
I think it's Andy.
Whenever Andy Douglas wears the gear, I think it's James Storm. Because it's so big on him, it looks... I just like, oh, James Storm's attacking someone. I'm like, wait, no, he's attacking himself? And then I go, oh, it's the Naturals.
So yeah, they had a little match. Sabu ran wild, but the Naturals beat Sanjay with the Natural Disaster. Great tag team finish, by the way. I love the Natural Disaster.
I'm into this. I'm into the Naturals, I hate to say.
Naturals jumped Sabu after the match, but then he made his own comeback.
Cool. The Naturals are like, straight up like... And who are the bigger nerds? The Naturals or the Hot Shots?
The Hot Shots.
At this point? I'm not saying the future, because none of the Naturals do get their due eventually.
I think just as human beings, Cassidy Riley is a more natural nerd than Andy Douglas. Next pay-per-view, June 23rd, AMW defend the NWA World Tag Team titles against Miyamoto and Nasawa. 2 men doing great Muta tributes.
Yeah, well, you know, one of them will book him every time.
Nasawa should book AMW.
I mean, they're probably old enough that he'd get a push.
They hit the death sentence in this match. And then NWA-TNA acted like it has been decades since we've seen a death sentence.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even notice that they weren't using it.
Yeah, I get, like, they won the Dallas and Cash match with a roll-up, and I think they beat Swinger and Gilberti with a spear. So, They haven't used it, but also it's like it's been like probably 4 months since we've seen the death sentence, Mike and Don.
I mean, I guess that it was somewhat important because I think Don said the last time they hit it was when it was off the cage.
No, we have 100% seen a death sentence since then.
Well, I'm saying that's what they told me, and I was like, is that true? I don't know.
There's absolutely been death sentences in the last
Are you
year.
saying Don West is lying to me?
Yes, Don is wrong. Sorry to say it, but he is.
Hashtag Don is wrong. Get it trending for Garrett.
They accidentally played 3LK's music as AMW hit the move. No idea what happened there.
Beware.
But Naturals jumped AMW after the match and then applied lipstick to try and embarrass them.
Okay, I like this beatdown. I don't know whatever subtext they're going for here, but I like. I thought it was a brutal looking beatdown, and like obviously say what you want about the whole lipstick thing, whatever. It is a powerful image to like mess someone up like that and have like their face, because it makes it really look like you've kicked the shit out of them. So I really thought it was a good beatdown, and I do like them doing it while wearing their clothes. I think that's a fun touch. I really like the build to this. Like I said, if this was just going to a one pay-per-view and everything was on the same show, I think I'd be into this as the tag team title match on the show.
And it does build to probably the best match the Naturals ever have in July, so you can look forward to that.
I'm looking forward to July. Got Alex Shelley. Got the Naturals getting the big tag title match.
He says before he knows I'll have to drag him kicking and screaming into actually watching it.
Maybe I'll catch COVID again. Who knows?
Last show of the month, Hudson has AMW. They're going to get revenge for the Naturals. Storm begins talking about how his mom threw a stereo at him once.
I raised my hands to my mother and she's like, you better use them, boy. Let's go.
You then had that feature you hated about all the fake teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... I don't mind you showing me a feature on the tag division. Just don't tell me how good the tag division is and then show me that lineup.
Yeah, they were like, Team Mexico, their
I'm like,
team.
are they?
Never competed for the tag titles, but they could be. They could.
But also, they barely show up anymore.
So we had the Naturals facing America's Most Wanted. The Naturals won with a roll-up for an upset win, and AMW were like utterly shell-shocked that they lost this non-title match.
Yeah, I thought this was a nice little match. I like them like taking it to the outside, getting real classic AMW with it.
Probably not the best AMW match in the world. I preferred the Monty and Abyss match, even though you chastised me for such a thing. But listen.
Hey, you know what, Garrett? I don't care. So moving on. I was going to be like, hey man, you're allowed to be wrong sometimes. It's fine.
But then you like pulled out of it.
We're in the third hour, man. What do you want from me? It is currently 12:30 a.m.
That show ended with that big ass brawl, which AMW and the Naturals were part of.
Every time you say big ass brawl, I think you're going to like throw to the ECW big ass bash.
Ooh.
Which we are not reviewing.
So this brings us to Liam's favorite part of the month. Let's talk about Goldilocks.
I want to end on Goldilocks, but it's fine. We'll maybe this will perk me up. Let's talk. I'm into every one of these feuds we're about to talk about. So
first show of the month, Abyss defeats D-Ray 3000 with a Black Hole Slam squash match. Then Goldie looks to shove money down his throat, but Watts makes the save, and Russo's real mad that Watts is there because he told him to stay away.
Yeah, D-Ray's the best. I like that he annoys Pat Kenny and not Pat Kenny. He annoys Glenn Gilberti. That's fun.
And Scott Hudson is aghast that he can never find the ring.
Gadget man, because he is high.
Scott Hudson's like, the curtains, the lights, it's the same place it's always been.
But to be fair, he does come from different sides of the camera, so maybe he just got turned around. Also, he got used to the one in Florida. Now he's in Nashville. You know.
Russo shouted at Watts backstage. They were in the parking lot. He's like, you shouldn't, this isn't how you'll handle this. I'll handle this. Give me the money. And he hands back the briefcase of Eric Watts' money, I guess.
Which makes no sense.
I have no idea what this money is or where it's come from.
It's WCW money.
She just took it. Watts keeps it in a briefcase under his bed.
So my favorite bit, there's like one promo. I don't know if it's the first or the second week, but Goldie cuts a promo about and brings up Eric Watts' wife. And I'm like, was he fucking you on TV, with his wife not watching, or watching the show and knowing about it?
Because they were dating up until January.
For a year.
So, is Watts just real quick? He's like, I need a rebound, marry me.
Maybe we did pose the position of there being a throuple in the Eric Watts household, so perhaps they were just cool with it.
But then Goldie went all psycho crazy.
Maybe Eric Watts is ethically non-monogamous.
Good for him.
Which could be the case.
So Goldie walks up while Watts and Russo are shouting at each other, and Goldie just starts hitting Watts. She's
she's so good as a performer, man. Every just to jump ahead a little bit, in the Watts Abyss blow off match, her little turns to the camera. They're so good. She's gripping the briefcase with her life and shooing the camera off to start shooting the match again, and just giving the most disgusted look at them. It's good stuff.
Yeah, Goldie walks up and insists Eric should go home to his wife.
Again, proposes a lot of questions.
So Russo was meant to visit Goldie in her office, is what she said. My office. That's how that last segment ends. She's like,
Which I think is just under the bleachers.
yes, come meet me in her office. Then we cut to a vignette on the next show of Goldie. She's freaking out. It has the timestamp of 3:15 a.m. She's super mad at Russo for not visiting her office. She does not like the...
Vincent?
Sorry, yes, Vincent. She does not like the slander that Eric Watts is doing, and perhaps the suggestion that she's crazy. She wants Watts' contract. She wants Watts versus Abyss. Contract versus money.
I mean, yeah, sure. Let's see how this goes.
The following week, Eric Watts sets up a table on the interview set. And he wants Goldie to come and accept the offer together.
I thought he was like going to challenge her to an arm wrestling match.
She'd win.
Probably. She would also probably like claw his eyes out.
Yeah, she'd find any means to win, but
Yeah.
she'd win. She would like seduce you. She would, as you said, claw eyes out. She'd kick you in the shins. She'd kick you in the nuts. She'd like kick the leg out from under the table. She would do anything to win.
Yeah, good stuff.
So yeah, during the AMW against Abyss and Monty match, Goldilocks was at ringside. Then Scott Hudson found her and dragged her away.
Scott Hudson has been great in this feud too.
Yeah, so then Hudson has Goldie and Watts together. They're shouting. Goldie wants to own Watts. Watts and Abyss brawl. Goldie screams, "Not your money," as she's being dragged away by security. She's like, "Not your money! Not your money!"
Not your money. I do like that this is like she gets to do all her character work on the pay-per-view but doesn't get like any lick of it on the TV.
Yeah, because Abyss does a couple squashes and she's at ringside, but also she's not doing anything. Actually, no, she's not at ringside for the first one. They show her backstage.
Yeah, she's out there for the D-Ray second match. Which I think I equated in my head as to one match because I do not remember there being a second one. No, but there was also a D-Ray match on pay-per-view, and then there's a D-Ray match on Impact.
Yeah, there was the Gutjack match.
No, I'm saying like there's two D-Ray Abyss matches.
Oh, yeah.
June 18th on Impact, and also the one on pay-per-view the week before or 2 weeks before.
D-Ray is just doing his best and getting squashed every time.
I said Impact, I meant the first pay-per-view of the month. Everyone's gonna get in the Discord and be like, "Oh, Liam, you messed up, man. It was actually the first NWA-TNA pay-per-view of the month. It wasn't the first Impact."
Goldie was also at ringside for the Dallas and Abyss versus Styles and D'Lo match. He was clutching her briefcase.
I wonder what's in there.
Money.
I mean, like, as a shoot.
It's probably still money.
You think they trust her with money?
Yeah, Goldie has like 10 grand sitting in a briefcase at ringside.
It would have been a good bit if, like, when Abyss hit Watts with it in the blow-off, it, like, exploded in the money.
And then everyone rushed the ring to get some for themselves.
And Goldie just pulls out a switchblade.
Yeah. Starts cutting people.
Goldie should be given a knife.
Screaming, "Not your money" at fans while she stabs them.
That is my character suggestion for her continued progression, is that she gets a switchblade.
She has a knife. She is the original knife pervert.
If there's one thing I feel confident in describing Goldilocks as, it is knife pervert. I can just imagine her doing her hidden camera show, and she's like, "Hey man, could you like fill up my tires?" "Oh cool, yeah, I'll go out there and do it." And then they go out there and she just like gets a blade on them and is like, "Come on, fill it." And they're like, "Whoa!" What? And everyone's like, "Goldie, this isn't a prank. This is just assault."
Her entire show is just like getting into wacky, whimsical scenarios where she then just pulls a knife on somebody.
Yeah.
She's sitting in there in that phone store and the person won't help them and she just pulls the knife. "Will you help me now?"
So this is a missed opportunity. They should have redone the first one, right? But with her in full crazy character.
With Abyss standing there.
Yeah, like they go into the store and instead of like any preamble, she just goes straight into it. And they don't even talk at first. She just goes, "There's my phone!"
God damn it, Goldie.
Like, Eric and Vince have been calling me non-stop. And this guy's like, it has no missed calls. What's happening?
He blames him.
See, no one respects Goldie's vision. $9.7 million. We make the company. We hire Goldilocks.
She will be the main character.
Like, we've reached this stage now in wrestling where mid and early 2000s acts are getting a second chance. I'm saying someone pick up Goldilocks.
She was just on Slammiversary.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm not taking credit for for any of the Slammiversary stuff, but everyone we talked about, Anyone we've ever put over got put on that show.
Yeah, she didn't try and stab anybody on Slammiversary, but she was on Slammiversary.
They missed opportunity not to have her do like something with Alex Shelley.
So Hudson, last show of the month, has Goldie and Abyss. They talk about how Eric Watts' wife is here. Goldie doesn't plan to give Watts her attention. She insists Watts still loves him and that we'll never see Watts again once she wins his
And
contract.
I was like, man, well, Watts is definitely winning this match.
Well, he didn't. He lost to Abyss.
Georgie was his wife's name.
Yeah, she's at ringside.
Also, fair play to Eric Watts.
He did well for himself.
Yeah, he did well for himself.
Assuming that's his shoot wife and not a worked
I
wife.
was trying to work that out, but again, I said Georgie Watts is not a worked name. Georgie Watts is a real life name.
It's a person.
Also, Eric Watts definitely has a type.
Yeah, ref is distracted getting rid of a chain, allowing Abyss to hit Watts with the case, but Watts kicks out. Watts then knocked Abyss into Goldie on the apron, hit a chokeslam, but Abyss kicked out. Watts was gonna chokeslam Goldie, but she raked his eyes, and Abyss hit the black hole slam for the win. Abyss choked Watts with the chain. Watts' wife then jumped into the ring, threw a drink on Goldie, climbed on Abyss's back, and saved Eric.
Fair play to Watts' wife. She's like, I'm gonna have to fight Abyss.
And she did. She fought Abyss better than Eric
That's
did.
a ride or die.
My favorite part of this match was they set up the chair wedged in the corner, and it fell out.
Like twice.
And Goldie had to spend like 10 minutes trying to put it back.
Yeah. Well, my favorite part is Abyss no-selling Eric while he's trying to do it. I mean, to be fair, like, that obviously was something that they desperately wanted to get done because Abyss took a hell of a bump through it.
I love the chair in the corner bump. It's one of my favorite bumps.
But, like, rarely do you see someone continue. Because Abyss took it and then did, like, a biggie spear to the floor. It was crazy.
Abyss rocks.
Abyss rocks. Goldie rocks. I love this pairing. You know what? I honestly don't need James Mitchell to ever come in. Just keep Goldie as Abyss's manager forever.
The Sinister Minister Goldilocks.
They should have kept him together. Imagine Mitchell and Goldie. That is a pairing that gets Abyss to the main event scene.
So Goldie owns Eric Watts' contract.
Yeah,
now.
so I guess this is the last time we'll ever see Eric Watts.
Ever.
That's what Goldie said. I'm going to be really disappointed when Goldie and Eric Watts are gone, actually.
Watts is still around for most of the rest of the year. I can't remember when Goldie leaves.
Well, doesn't she has done the Shelley stuff soon?
Yeah, and she has the Abyss, and she has, like, wearing fur coat Goldie. We still haven't gotten to fur coat Goldie.
Well, she has all the money.
Where she starts being, like, Cruella de Vil.
She has all the money. She should threaten to skin Shark Boy.
It's just like sex, she wants his mask.
But to turn it into, like, a coat.
She wears her Shark Boy coat.
It's like in Stardom, how they'll take the mask and they'll put it in the gear.
So like we have Monty and D'Lo doing some stuff. Monty squashes Siaki, I think twice, once on pay-per-view, once on TV. We do, for the first time on the TV squash, we hear the classic Monty Brown theme. We hear that one for the first time when he faces Siaki on TV. And then they have a match toward the end of the month. Ends in a no contest when they brawl into the crowd. They just stop the match.
Is that the D'Lo one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that match.
I don't care enough about any of this D'Lo stuff.
Well, let me tell you how much I hate that match.
Go for it.
They were brawling to the outside, and it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because the crowd was silent. It was an Asylum crowd brawl, and they were silent.
Yeah.
Do you know how impressively awful that is?
It takes a bit of effort.
Jarrett and Road Dogg do it all the time and somehow get a reaction. but this killed the crowd. They did not give a shit about this. And I thought it was weird because, like, I get it, the D'Lo stuff hasn't been good, but they've been into Monty for the most part.
And like when D'Lo came out and cut promos, they were into him.
I don't think they're into the D'Lo in-ring stuff, and I honestly kind of can't blame them.
Sorry, it was Monty against Pat Kenny where you heard the Monty theme for the first time, not the Siaki match. So yeah.
But yeah, also that match was weird because there was a suicide dive chair shot that they just let happen, which I was like, okay, is this no DQ? But then they got the no contest, so I couldn't tell you what was happening.
They also, like, there's been 1,000 matches that have spent most of the match out on the floor that have never gotten counted out. And Rudy, apparently this one, it's like, this is the bridge too far. I'm finally going to assert my authority.
I think it's Monty. Because Monty did it with Sabu and also got a no contest.
Yeah, we count out Monty and Monty alone.
Because they're scared of what he'll do.
Yeah, so that's your Monty D'Lo stuff for the month. There's not much of it.
I don't want to give this match one bit of credit.
Go on.
D'Lo took a hell of a bump over the stairs and like fell down them. It was very weird.
How can you fall down ring steps? Feels like something you shouldn't be able to do.
How about you? D'Lo managed it, so fair play.
All right, it's time to talk about your favorite story every month. It's the NYC against Pat Kenny and Sonny Siaki. You had the Monty against Siaki match. There was a post-match angle there where the NYC ran out. They hit Siaki with a coconut. They dressed him in a hula outfit before Pat Kenny made the save, where Trinity and Desire were there too.
That's it.
They were racist toward Pat Kenny, and now they're being racist towards Sonny Siaki.
See how their racism is a comeuppance towards them. Then they get a title match.
Yep, they sure do. They win the poll, and by win the poll, they finish second in the poll.
Desire and Trinity brawl, NYC attack, AMW don't care.
Yeah, AMW just leaves.
And they even mention it on commentary. Like, AMW was gone.
Yeah, because Desire and Trinity brawl, I was here beating them up, and AMW just gone. They're teasing a balcony dive, and AMW are nowhere to be seen.
They stopped the balcony dive. That's it.
Yep. So we're building to the ultimate humiliation match. Monty beats Siaki on TV. He squashes him. Desire checks on Siaki as AMW watch on from the ramp. There's not much going on there.
That is Sonny Siaki's girlfriend. On the next show, we get two builds because we get Trinity and Angel Williams.
Yeah, the debuting. Actually, not the debuting. She was in the Frankie Kazarian angle, but this is the first time she's wrestled on TV. The future Angelina Love having a match here randomly.
I appreciate how brutal Trinity is. She's like, all right, I'm gonna beat the hell out of this girl. I'm gonna throw a chair at her. I'm gonna do moonsault with the chair. She's playing the role of being the heel bruiser quite well.
Yeah, she's the tough person of the NYC, unlike this freaking Swinger and Pat Kenny.
Alternatively,
or it's Gilbert even.
I hate to talk bad about my girl Desire. I am a notorious Desire fan. She is not playing any role in this well.
She's trying to be the mom who's being forced to wrestle because she broke her back.
Maybe that's just a bad character and that's the problem.
Is she not playing that role well?
I guess she's playing it well, but it just shouldn't exist. Desire and Trinity also get this really cool song whenever they do a highlight package for him, and I'm into it.
Yeah. This is the biggest women's feud in TNA history, which is sad to say in a way.
Can I give it to Alexis Lurie and Trinity from earlier?
Their one match?
Yeah. It was better. Then they start setting up the humiliation box match. But they don't care. They're proud of their heritage. You know? We could do a humiliation box match.
What would I have to wear?
I think you know what you'd have to wear.
A kangaroo costume?
No.
Famous Irish?
You'd have to dress like that Irish soap and then also not drive anywhere because you don't have any cars.
Yeah, I'll only use horses.
I would obviously have to dress like that Ashley dude. Whatever his name was.
Ashley Hudson. The sex Australian champion?
Yes, I'm the sex Australian champion, but yes. Then they have the match. I think the match is okay.
Please tell me your deep thoughts on this Siaki and Pat Kenny against Gilberti and Swinger humiliation match.
I would, but I don't have any.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I do have some. I like the second one more.
Why did you like the second one more? What was the difference?
I like the fake out. I thought I was like, God damn, wait, they're actually, the NYC are going to win? And then they reversed the decision and started the match again. And of course, Siaki and Kenny won. And now they're stuck in the outfits for an extra 30 days. I enjoyed all the segments where they were like, we don't want to be seen wearing them. And then Swinger's like, actually, this kind of rocks. I'm into
My favorite part of this entire thing. So they lose the humiliation match, which means they have to wear silly outfits for 30 days. So Gilberti has to wear like an Irish leprechaun outfit, and Siaki has to wear like a hula skirt outfit. And Gilberti is always like super embarrassed. He doesn't want to be seen on camera. He's like, no, I don't want to be embarrassed on television. And then Swinger is always just standing in the foreground flexing his pecs.
And I guess Gilberti just says it's really embarrassing to be Irish.
Can't deny it.
But yeah, the match was okay. What do you want from me?
Yeah, so the last show of the month, David Young offers the suggestion that, listen, there's a way out of this. You should offer double or nothing. So they suggest that to Pat Kenny and Simon Diamond. He's the same person. Sonny Siaki.
Simon Diamond and Pat Kenny teaming up, you know.
Yeah, and
that'd be impressive.
They agree. They do the match. Double or nothing, ultimate humiliation match. As you mentioned, Young interferes, helps Gilberti score the win with a chain. Mike Posey then comes out, explains what happens. The match is restarted, and then Kenny rolls up Gilberti for the win. The NYC will have to wear their outfits for another 30 days.
The inconsistency on the referees in TNA kind of kills me.
It's just whatever they need at the time. There is no rule. The matches can restart whenever they need it, whenever they want to.
We also skipped the Desire Trinity.
Oh no, I was leaving it as the main event. Please take it away for this story. the Desire NWA-TNA Baby number 100, the second anniversary pay-per-view in the first ever women's stretcher match, June 23rd, 2004. Trinity faced Desire in a stretcher match.
Quarter star.
I went, what did I give it? 2 and 2?
2.
I gave it flat 2 because Trinity tried to do a balcony dive.
Cool. I gave it a quarter star because Trinity tried to do a balcony dive. If that balcony dive didn't happen, I would have given it a dud. This match is awful. It is really, really, really boring and really, really, really bad. Imagine every Asylum walk and brawl if it somehow was even less exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, imagine, right, you're watching Road Dogg Jeff Jarrett.
Okay, I'm closing my eyes and visualizing now.
Yeah, okay. Now imagine if they did like one punch every 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have my problem with the
I
match.
think it's better.
I think that match is better, yeah.
The weirdest
Because at least the crowd would give a shit.
The weirdest thing about the stipulation here is instead of putting each other on the stretcher, they would bring them over to the stretcher, and then security would pick them up and put them on it.
Security would push the stretcher, which is also weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, this match just sucked in every way. I was telling Garrett, I watched this match on 2x speed, and it still felt like a snail's pace. I don't know how that manages to happen. This is the only time in history I've watched a match on 2x speed and still pressed the skip button because nothing took fucking place.
Why do you hate women, Liam? It was cool. Trinity did try to do a leg drop out of the stand through a table, but then Desire moved.
No, this is just bad. It's awful. It's shit. Gail Kim, please save us.
We had a big debut at the end of it, though.
in name only.
Big Vito smashed the ambulance door into the face of Desire as he emerged from the ambulance to help Trinity put Desire in the ambulance. Vito is in TNA. I honestly forgot Vito was in TNA. Here he is. I was like, oh, it's Vito!
I mean, I was like, oh, it's Vito too, but I didn't have a reason. All right, well, let's give us the big Vito background, Garrett.
Former WCW star Vito.
Yep.
That's about it, really.
He wore a dress.
He did.
I meant more like the backstage note.
Yeah, Big Vito made an appearance on the anniversary show. He was hired as a special favourite of Vince Russo, who has been asking Jeff Jarrett to hire him for months. Vito was described as humbled and on his best behaviour while backstage. That's a major change from his backstage reputation. While in WCW and ECW, Vito was known for being very opinionated and often rubbing people the wrong way after he and Johnny the Bull won the tag titles.
So yeah, I'm sure he'll fit in perfectly.
Oh, there's so much drama backstage in this company right now. It's great.
I mean, this is why we're here, right? No one's here to hear our review of Masquerita Sagrada versus Mini Perova. Like, we're here to talk about Kid Cash being mad, AJ Styles backing down, Scott D'Amore having to work 10 minutes, like...
Everyone bitching about, like, Goldilocks, and Desire apparently had an attitude too, but she was improving. And every woman on the roster, Trinity is apparently taking after Kid Cash because they're together and that she has attitude problems. Every woman, for some reason, again, makes you think that Vito is problematic, that Raven is giving out that he wasn't on TV, that Johnny Fairplay is giving out that he wasn't on TV. There's like just so much bitching and moaning.
Vince Russo hates the angles that he's in.
Yeah, he thinks the TV sucks. Dusty is looking at power plays.
Raven hates DDP.
Everyone is looking to get ahead. It's great. It's like backstabbing and treachery. It's tremendous.
Ricky Doyle, who appeared as a legend on the anniversary show, was a Michigan area wrestler who trained D'Amore.
Showing up as a legend. But yeah, that's more or less the NYC stuff for the month. They have to wear their embarrassing outfits for yet another 30 days.
He has to be Irish for another 30 days.
There couldn't have possibly been a worse fate.
Coming soon to OTT. Glenn Gilberti.
Irish Pat Kenny.
Oh, run it back.
Alright, let's wrap up with the last feud for the month. One that wasn't the worst. Sabu and Raven.
Just Sabu. You know what?
Go on.
I think that this feud was pretty good.
Yeah, so Raven started the month with losing the King of the Mountain match before then pivoting into his proper feud with Sabu.
I was gonna say, I like this feud because it actually felt like Sabu was getting something.
Yeah, which is for the first time in TNA history, basically.
So maybe his debut was the last time he had something.
When he faced Shamrock or Malice
in a ladder match.
In a ladder submission match.
I mean, that was one of the best eras of TNA because it was just freak show wrestling.
Yeah, and people would show up all the time and then disappear and then show up again.
Which never happens now. Gorgeous George.
You got Shamrock and Gorgeous George this month.
That's less fun than Sabu.
Shamrock's pretty cool, except he's bad in TNA.
Nah, he had a really bad last run. I'm not exactly fucking doing flips over it.
So, June 9th, NWA-TNA Baby number 98. Raven is sitting outside the building where he has issued a challenge to Sabu.
Yeah, I like this setting in a different spot. I think that's cool.
Mm.
I like his kind of homebrew version of the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match.
Mm.
Yeah, I dig this little aesthetic choice.
My favorite part is they do a second one of these where Raven's just standing outside holding a burning kendo stick.
Good in these like pre-edited promo stuff.
Yeah, and then Sabu is like sitting backstage pensively looking at a photo of the original Sheik.
Talking to his best friend Sanjay
It's
Dutt.
his close personal friend Sanjay.
Which, of course, Sanjay goes into the gut check match as well.
Yeah, so franchise is outside with Raven. Raven is happy Douglas is an interviewer now. Raven points out that he's never had a singles match with Sabu, and then Raven says it's because Sabu is scared of him.
I like that we find out almost immediately that this isn't the case, but Raven still runs with it.
Yeah, he's just like, he's afraid of me. He doesn't want to fight me. He's a little bitch.
Which I did enjoy.
Sanjay does, as he mentioned, have a gut check match. He defeats David Young, D-Ray 3000 and Shark Boy. I don't know why Sanjay's on the chopping block, but listen, he lost that best of 3 against Red, I guess.
I
He's
don't
out.
like the gut check match. It just feels mean.
It does. It's like, you suck and you might be
But also,
fired.
like, no one ever actually gets fired for losing him, so...
Yeah.
And then, of course, he gets the win and he immediately, like, leaves the building.
Yeah, because he wants to go tell Raven what Sabu had to say. So Sanjay says there'll be no Raven versus Sabu match and that Raven knows about the promise. Raven slaps Sanjay and they brawl. Raven hits a low blow, attacks Dutt with weapons. Raven DDTs Dutt and says this was on Sabu's hands. Said promises they're made to be broken as Sabu checked on a beaten and battered Dutt.
Well, was Sabu just hanging out the front while Dutt was getting the shit kicked out of him?
Yeah, because of the promise. So he just has to stand there and watch as his pal gets killed.
It would have been even funnier if Raven was, like, seen on camera just watching. Sabu, of course, I mean. But, like, he's going, I wish I could help, but I can't.
Does the NXT conflicted face. June 16th, Hudson has Raven. Hudson then explains that Sabu and Raven have vowed to the Sheik that they'd never wrestle. I feel like they should have held that little mystery a little longer.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but
I think it's a decent question as to, well, why doesn't Sabu want to face Raven? And they do then explain that it's because they were both trained by the Sheik and they promised they would not wrestle each other.
yeah, and because, like, it also, that would make the time when Sabu finally does do it is like, you know, why is now okay? Like, what rules are? And then, like, you could have the big moment where it's revealed why Raven wasn't doing it, but now he has to overcome that promise because of what Raven's done.
Yeah, Raven was mad that Sanjay interjected himself into this and it says, again, promises are made to be broken. So then he faces Sanjay. Raven, as mentioned, he hurt his ribs in one of the dark matches before TV, and he was still injured here, and he wrestled Sanjay, and he aggravated that rib injury. So that we're gonna get slow development on this story for a while.
It feels like Raven does kind of, like, disappear for a bit.
Because yeah, I think this is Raven's last actual appearance. He does a promo where he's like, oh, you were right all along because the Dusty got through to him. We'll talk about that in one sec. And then they do the thing where he hangs him, but the Raven's not actually there then. So I think this is actually the last show Raven is on this month.
Yeah, but what did you think of the match?
Yeah, so Raven basically squashes Sanjay. He had it one with a powerbomb, pulled him up. Raven promises to keep beating Sanjay until Sabu comes out. Raven pulled Dutt up again, taped his hands together, tries to maul Dutt with a screwdriver.
My favorite, like, subtle thing that he did was he's like, I'm gonna keep torturing you, and he just, like, rubs his face into the mat, and I was like, that looked awful to take.
Dropped hold him onto a chair. Raven pinned him, and Thomas then gave the fast count to save Sanjay because Raven kept pulling him up, so the referee kind of intervened via fast count.
That's a good touch, actually. I like that.
I would say you have ref stoppage powers, but I guess it's Raven's rules. This was a Raven's rules match, so maybe he was like, no ref stoppages.
There's no DQ. There's no stopping. Yeah, I like it though.
So Raven starts taping Dutt's legs. He wants Dutt to call out for Sabu, which Dutt eventually does. Sabu gets between Raven and Dutt. Raven slaps Sabu, tries to provoke him. Sabu doesn't rise to it.
Fucks up Sabu. He beats the shit out of him.
He really does lay in those shots, which again really does work for the angle they're going for, that he's really trying to get the rise out of Sabu here.
And this is Sabu, you know, this is the fucking wild man, and he's not biting.
Eventually, Dusty comes out after security intervenes, and then he chastises Raven for not respecting the Sheik and forgetting what Sabu did for him. Then Dusty invites Raven to take a shot, to fight him instead, and Raven walks away.
I like Raven being like, this has nothing to do with you. Get out.
I'm a little sad we never get a Raven and Dusty match, but that would rule.
Or even just more Raven Dusty back and forth.
Yeah. So we have Sabu drama.
I love Sabu drama. Let's go.
Sabu's return all along was to set up for him to team with Raven and then feud, even though the team never really got going and plans for them to do a traditional split up kept changing. Raven pushed for it, thinking Sabu was the one wrestler he had never worked a singles match against, even though they were together in ECW as two of the company's biggest stars. Sabu, who had screwed up more than once in the past in TNA, had some office people arguing against using him. While his matches haven't been off the charts, he internally had zero problem during this run. Both he and Stephanie Bellers overslept their flights, reoccurring trend here in TNA.
Stop booking early flights.
Sabu got in 4 hours late for television, as he also missed a second flight, and the company has been insistent, guys, don't miss their early morning flights.
Jeff, please, we need you to make it.
When he got there, he was a mess. Jerry Jarrett, who almost never yells at anybody, tore him up bad, and Sabu really respects Jarrett because he respects all the veterans. He was scheduled for a post-show dark match main event against Abyss with the idea of giving the Loud Crowd a special match. For one, the Loud Crowd didn't really care once TV was over. Second, the match was, from several different sources, terrible. The funny thing is, according to wrestlers watching, it was Abyss and not Sabu who was in the wrong position and blew the spots. Others say it was Sabu though. But since Sabu was a mess and everyone could see that, he got the blame. There were people talking about not using him any longer, and Sabu was enraged after the show, saying he was frustrated how he was being used because he wanted to do more wrestling. He complained that his role in the pay-per-view, where he just stood there while holding a photo, was getting money he didn't earn because he didn't do a match, which, that's the most honorable thing I've ever heard a pro wrestler say.
Also, I don't believe it for a second.
In the Abyss match the next night, the match ended with Raven doing a run-in on Sabu, and in climbing into the new six-sided ring, he thought he cracked a sternum. As it turns out, X-rays revealed a broken rib, although he's at this point expected to be out for 2 to 4 weeks.
Explains why this feud's kind of on ice a little bit.
By the time the night was over, Sabu was telling friends he wanted to quit, and several in the company thought he should be fired. Others were arguing against firing him, but said he shouldn't be used for a while. One person in the company who was close to him felt firing would throw him into a depression, and for his sake, giving him time off was the best thing for him. Others wanted to ignore what happened so as not to interrupt the plans. Fucking wrestling. And there was even a suggestion of keeping him around for the first match with Raven, which is now going to be a few weeks away, and hold off any other decision until then. At press time, it appeared they were going to keep using him so as not to change pre-existing plans.
The Jarrett's kind of running into the situation that I run into every time I try to book TNA 2004 to 2006, where Sabu continues to be a problem.
Now you understand why all those mods are train wrecks, where it's like everyone's unhappy, everybody's bickering. You look at this backstage locker room, it's like, oh yeah, it's actually true to life, isn't it?
It's like, yeah, can you get it together for my sake? I'm sure. I remember like this one time we were playing and you're trying to do this like Sabu Rhino Raven thing, and just every show they would all be fucking up, and you're like, come on, please.
Just want to have one good match, please. Come on, guys.
And then like I see, like it's a hard thing because I guess it's not like the biggest storyline on the show, so you could find a way to cool it off for a bit, but they have invested weeks into this now. But also like you should probably put people's health above all.
Yeah. Your little wrestling story doesn't matter, ultimately.
It's a hard balance. Especially with guys like, you know, a Sabu who's, like, insisting that he wants to be a part of the show. And, like, you have guys telling you that, like, if you did fire him, it wouldn't be beneficial to him anyway. So it's like, I mean, I don't envy the challenge of balancing people in that position, you know?
It is ultimately a no-win situation.
Which is, I guess, is the no fun part. Like, especially because now, you know, TNA is being presented as a major pro wrestling company. If it's just an indie, then you're just like, well, fuck off.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. We can just not book the guy for the next show. But this is a television pay-per-view product now, and with that, some expectations come along, and it becomes a more serious and more dependent business.
Yeah, it's not like this stuff never happens in WWE, but it is exceedingly rare that you have these kind of blow-ups, like the kind of Sasha and Naomi walking out thing. Is such an impactful news story because it just doesn't really happen there. People just like swallow their problems and get on with it.
Yeah, and then when it does happen, you know, they get villainized in the media.
They do the full hit job.
Park gets put on ice for a year and a half. Mustafa Ali is on the same way until they make him swallow his pride and get back to work, you know? It's a lot.
So later in the show, Hudson has Raven. Raven apologized to Sabu after Dusty's speech and says next week he's going to have a tribute to the Sheik. And Mike Tenay is like, I like that Mike Tenay is like, he's fucking lying. I don't believe him.
We go to this.
Yeah, before that, we do have the Naturals face Sabu and Sanjay on Impact. Naturals win with the Naturals.
It was a decent little match.
So yeah, franchise is backstage. He's looking at Raven's tribute to Sabu, which was a dummy hanging itself.
I hate to say that I did not trust TNA enough to not go and search his cause of death. Because I was like, okay, I need to see how bad a taste this is. He died of heart failure.
So it's only kind of in bad taste.
Yeah.
He'd only died the year before, too. It's not like he's been dead 20 years.
Yeah. I imagine that, to be honest though, like if I'm the Sheik, I'm probably the workerest worker in the world, and I'm like, yeah, man, do it.
Yeah, you turned my death into an angle.
100%. Which I guess that was always the Eddie defense in WWE.
Eddie would have loved this. So franchise is like, you don't want to look at this Sabu, but then Sabu walks in, looks at it, he's sad. Then Mickey Doyle randomly approaches and tries to talk Sabu into doing the right thing.
Which is to beat the fuck out of this guy and break your promise to your dead uncle. Yeah, Mickey Doyle, they built up throughout the whole show that he was here for personal reasons, not just to be a legend.
Yeah, because they had a bunch of seats there, because like Larry Z was there, Sarah the Ticket Taker was there, Harley Race was there, Dusty was meant to be there, but he was taken out by the guitar shot, and Mickey Doyle was there.
You're selling it.
Dusty's a pro.
Which of these names?
Even though Dusty did walk out of the main event.
I also
there,
do love a little Harley appearance. I'm always down for a Harley Race appearance.
Yeah, he never does much in Impact, but
he's also just a cool dude, isn't he?
Corsica Joe was the last person there.
Who I definitely know.
He's been on the show
yeah,
before.
but who I definitely know.
As this guy who shows up occasionally in TNA. Yeah, we did. Raven's injured, so he's hurt his ribs. Apparently he had severe cases of pneumonia too. He's having a rough time, Raven.
Yeah, I can relate. Well, we get to end it on a real strength here.
So yeah, Sabu and Sanjay defeat Team Canada. Nice little match. That's it. That is everything that happened. This is the longest recording we've ever had. Very quickly, show by show, there is 9 of them. NWA-TNA Baby number 97, June 2nd is the show we did a watch along for. It is the debut of King of the Mountain. TNAchat.com or patreon.com/kiddingme if you would like to hear our full reactions to that show. You got anything, Liam?
No.
Cool. Impact, episode number 1, June 4th, 2004. First episode of Impact. We've also done a watch along for that.
We also discussed it in depth.
Yeah, we did an actual review of that one because it felt notable to do a review of. But also, you can listen to our full instant reaction watch along to it. TNAchat.com, patreon.com/kiddingme, and it is absolutely free. Thoughts on this show, Liam?
We already said it in detail. Go listen to our commentary of it. Go watch it. It's on YouTube. Good times. And very important historically.
How do you feel about Shane Douglas as a backstage interviewer?
I'm generally positive, but I'm very worried that Scott Hudson will get the boot because of it.
He does.
That's upsetting, because he's really good.
NWA-TNA Baby number 98, June 9th, 2004. My birthday. I would have turned 12.
Were you watching this for your birthday?
No, I didn't know. Actually, I probably did know TNA existed, maybe. I might have watched some of it on the wrestling channel.
Did you wake up early on June 9th and go, Mem, please buy... please buy me the TNA pay-per-view number 98.
I need to see Sanjay Dutt's gut check match, mama.
Why are you southern?
Because I'm watching the Nashville show. I've adopted the accent.
Oh, mama, I need to see the NYC. Michael Shane and Chris Sabin.
I think my favorite part of the show is when they announced the Triple Jeopardy match. Don West says on commentary, I don't know what that is, but amen!
Don West, the best.
He starts talking about how Trinity is like the female star of the company, and she's like the king of the female mountain.
Not Queen of the Mountain, that's too hard to put together.
No, king of the female mountain.
King of the female mountain.
Killings has the theme here that's the Amazing Red theme, the one he would have in like 2009.
Really?
Also, there's a suplex in the AJ and Kazarian match where they're on the turnbuckle and AJ suplexes Kaz to the floor. Sounded like it sucked.
Yeah, I mean, these two are young and can kill themselves. It's fine.
Impact, episode 2, June 11th, 2004. Anything?
David Young is worried and anxious.
that is what I have written down.
Yeah, no, this is like the one time we see Team Mexico as a unit completely together.
Yeah, they're not doing much this month. They're just off doing their own thing. Mm-hmm. And AJ coming out as ex-champ just feels right.
Of course.
It just feels right. NWA-TNA Baby number 99, June 16, 2004. What do you got? Ibis's gear is terrible.
Again, I feel like if he just kept the skulls on both sides, I'd be into it. It's the weird tribal tattoo that really throws me.
I have the words, you're an evil reptile written down, which feels like a Goldilocks line, but I'm not sure. I should really take better notes on who says what and when. I actually do think it's a Goldilocks line based on where it is on my notes. I think she says the words, you're an evil reptile at some stage, or somebody says that to her, or maybe it's a Don West line.
Maybe that can be the fourth thing we add into the title. Evil reptile. Yeah, I got nothing on this one. Yeah.
When they won the flag match, Scott D'Amore did this like sensational over-the-top celebration. It was the best thing that's ever happened. And when he did the sit-down interview with Mike Tenay, he was like, Mike, may I call you Mike?
Which just feels like such a subtle heel thing. Like, it's such like a traditional like heel trope to be like, may I call you blank? And then to do it anyway.
Impact number 3, June 18, 2004. My favorite Don West line on this is like, they should call him D-Ray 3000 to 1 because those are his odds of winning here against the Abyss.
I do appreciate that. And then they're like, well, but crazier things have happened.
He did have that upset win against David Young.
It's true. I don't think that's an upset.
NWA-TNA pay-per-view number 100, June 23, 2004. We did miss a big one here, which is the minis match.
Yeah, that's what we're going to get to now, because it also has a great post-match thing. So, yeah, we get the minis here. I like that mini Bharat is the big man.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah, I thought it was a good little match. Masquerita Sagrada is actually always just fucking great.
He's so good, isn't he?
But then, of course, David Young comes in, beats everyone up, demands that Mike Posey make the pin. He refuses twice. David Young pushes him around. Eventually, the minis have enough. They bite him on the ass.
As one does.
And he's running around like a fool. And, of course, takes a big dropkick from Mike Posey, who hits an AJ Styles S dropkick, I have to say.
Yeah, Mike Posey was a wrestler, so it does make sense. But also, the crowd went nuts when he hit that dropkick, too.
Everyone pinned him, and he takes 3 more losses.
Yeah, that's how it works. Those are the rules.
Well, not according to Don West. He says some inappropriate things.
Yeah, Don. Mm-hmm.
I did like the unity that the mini showed after the beatdown. Like, this is fucked up.
I just read in my notes what Don actually said. I'm like, Don!
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Thumbs down, Don. This match was meant to go 12, but they started slow to build to all their dives in the final 3 minutes, but Jerry Jarrett got super bored thinking they were sticking the place out, so they cut the match to 8, so they just had to go home before they did any of their cool spots.
They should have just ignored him. Like, you're doing a one-shot anyway. Who gives a fuck?
When Don was trying to sound like more progressive, when he didn't want to say ladies, he's like, these aren't ladies, they're tough, and he was like, they're gals. It's like, Don.
He should have been like, they are female kings.
Impact episode number 4, June 25th, 2004. What do you think? How are you feeling?
At this point, I am thinking that Impact is better than the pay-per-views. And we'll get the big announcement. Dennis Rodman will be in the Impact Zone next week.
Oh, I was reading ahead in the notes. There's a bunch of like debacle stuff with Dennis Rodman as well. That's fun.
I'm so excited because, and I'll tell you what, that'll be a house sellout. That'll be a lounge room sellout in this house because my housemate loves Dennis Rodman.
So yeah, you can look forward to us talking about Dennis Rodman in July.
A pro wrestling legend.
Indeed, he's WCW hero.
Also, just the coolest guy ever. Just not going to Bulls training sessions to go fucking hang out and do WCW. The best.
Monty had his theme here. Pat Kenny was way too competitive with Monty in that match, by the way.
He's getting a push at the moment.
Still.
We get a cool little segment with Disco and Swinger backstage just being mad that they're being filmed.
Yeah. Oh, and Abyss caught AJ doing the Fosbury flop and just threw him into the post.
I wanted to mention that too. That spot was so cool.
Oh, rocked. Abyss rules. Abyss and AJ are just the best together.
I'm really looking forward to that cage match, which I have seen recently, but I'm looking forward to rewatching it.
And then last show of the month, NWA-TNA pay-per-view number 101, June 30th, 2004, from the Asylum in Nashville, Tennessee, 1,250 sellout, heavily papered. By the way, if you ever want to know how many people are at any of these shows, we've never mentioned it because it's usually about the same number that's usually always papered. Show notes, you can see how many were at all these shows. TNAchat.com, patreon.com/kidding me.
NWA-TNA pay-per-view 100 and NWA-TNA pay-per-view 101 were shows that I did not like the wrestling, but I thought were really easy watches and I enjoyed.
There you go. That is the month. That is June 2004, our longest podcast recording ever. We're on 4 hours, 8 minutes. It'll be cut down to probably about 3:30, 3:40 in editing. But let us know. We went 4 hours, 8 minutes on this podcast.
I'm very excited that my promise of delivering a Wrestle Kingdom has paid off, so we can add Wrestle Kingdom to the title. We also mentioned Sasha Banks, so we can add Sasha Banks to the title.
You can follow us on Twitter at TNA History Pod. You can follow me on Twitter at, I nearly said the Gleet Muda, at Garrett Kidney. You can follow Liam on Twitter at the Gleet Muda.
At Garrett Kidney.
You can head to patreon.com/kiddingme or tnachat.com to get all of your fun Patreon content, including a full Ring Cat King series, a full 2010 Monday Night War series, our current ongoing Global Force Wrestling series, our current ongoing Raintaker series, watch-alongs of a bunch of shows at this stage, including a WrestleMania in there somewhere, reviews of Chris Rock film, drafts,
a fun game that I'm doing now.
Liam's apparently doing a game. It's about cage matches or something. We'll look forward to that.
Garrett got it wrong.
I did get one of them wrong that he sent me. Upcoming on Friday will be the next Rain Takers covering the 2012 G1. Upcoming then that weekend will be the next episode of Global Force Wrestling. I won't even say we'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll try and get back as soon as we can. It was a month this time. Sorry about that.
I caught COVID. What do you want from me?
The July 2004 episode. That is another 9-show month, but at least this time it's 5 impacts and 4 pay-per-views rather than 5 pay-per-views and 4 impacts.
So, in my defense, right, guys, I am back at university now. And for one of my classes, I have to watch 2 movies and 4 episodes of TV.
What TV show?
Cry was last week's.
Oh. Why aren't they watching good shows?
Well, it has to be Australian or be related to something in Australia, as it is an Australian screen culture class.
Boo!
I watched Picnic at Hanging Rock.
Was it good?
It is interesting. So guys, there's like this whole theory in Australian cinema called the Lost Child theory, right? Where we talk about how bushland and how there's this consistent theme because of our own actual news stories about children being lost and being found within our environment, and so we play off of it a lot in our cinema. And this is a story particularly about a bunch of white girls getting lost in the bush, and about how Australian culture will then go and it's a whole big representation about colonialism. It's a whole thing. If you want to actually know about it a bit more, watch the movie called Terra Nullius. You can catch it on Vimeo. It's a very fun little edit movie, and you can see Skippy the kangaroo talk to you about how all these white women getting lost actually helps continue stigmatism towards Indigenous people in Australia.
Sounds like a good time then.
Garrett, I have a question for you.
Oh no.
Do you think that this show was an 8 out of 10 or a natural 20?
I think it was a 20.
I think it was a 20 as well.
For context, Liam was messing with a dice at one stage, and I told him to get rid of it, and then he threw it, and it landed on either 8 or 20. And that was how good this show was going to be. And I think you should all go to podcast service and give us 5 stars or whatever the rating is, because we were so good.
Yeah, do we do that? People always do that in their shows, and I feel like we never push that.
Yeah, we're on 20 ratings on Spotify, which is pretty good.
One guy didn't like us. The rest of them were pretty cool.
You can head to any podcast platform, or honestly just go to your social media. Go to your Twitter machine right now and go, hey guys, I like @TNA History Pod. I think it's a really good show and you should listen to it.
If you made it into the 4th hour.
And that's how you can spread the word about this here show. As said, we'll be back when we're back with the July episode. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but we'll see you then. Thanks for listening, and bye-bye.
Do the damn thing.